Bangkok Titans. First of all, let's take a look at the starters for Edward Gaming, who are out on the blue side. In the top lane, it is Amazing J, the jungler Clear Love, their mid laner Pawn, the AD carry Deft, support Mako, and their coach Xing Chi, better known as Coach Aaron.
I mean, if we go back all the way to Spring Split, EDG, they got to MSI because they beat LGD there in the playoffs. They made it to MSI, fantastic performance. Coming into Summer, they were hype team, they performed, they did well, but then all the way at the end, they started slumping again. They didn't do well in their playoffs. They dropped matches to IG, LGD, but then in regionals, they came back. They ended up clinching the second seed from the LPL to Worlds, and they really looked good, especially with Amazing J in the top. With Amazing J in the top laner, that top half of the map is just so incredibly strong. Probably one of the stronger ones in the entire tournament, and that's just going to be fun to see.
And it's rough as well to make such a late change, but clearly trusting in their substitute player there.
Yeah, they have both Koro here and Amazing J, different playstyles. Koro obviously brings to the field a more teleport-oriented playstyle, people would say. Obviously, he can play all the champions too. It's not like he's a bad player or anything. But Amazing J, yeah, with those carries coming out in the later patches, the Juggernauts, you know, more aggression coming out of him. Clear Love and him working well together, duo jungling at the start, then ganking for him, just getting him ahead. And then meanwhile in the bot lane, yeah, people just playing passive, farming it up.
Yeah.
But once those team fights start, they're so strong.
I think a lot of it does have to do also, there were a lot of rumors going around, you know, was Koro sick? He missed out some practice time. This is a patch where you have to be practicing as much as you can to come in because, as we've seen already, the champion select gets crazy.
Certainly does. An Amazing J can do crazy, but let's have a look at the red side of the rift now. It's the international wildcard and the first team ever to represent Thailand at Worlds. They also had the honor of beating Oceania as the Chiefs. It is the GPL's Bangkok Titans. In the top lane, their captain Warlock, 007X, the jungler, star mid laner G4, AD carry and support Lloyd and Moss, and Coach Cabbage rounding out support.
Yeah, these guys also, earlier this year, you know, the GPL was split with a lot of talent going to the LMS. So these guys actually rose to the top of the GPL. They finished second in the spring season and then finished first in the summer season. And from there, as you said, they were able to earn their ticket to Worlds through the international wildcard by eventually taking down the OPL's Chiefs. A big part of what enabled them to do that as well was the way that they do play around their mid laner. You already mentioned him, G4. He's going to be a big part of what brings this team together. He's a bright star for them. They like to funnel a lot of resources into him, and he can also create a lot of pressure on his own by split pushing in the side lanes. You know, the Titans are also very big underdogs here, though, so I do expect them to go for strong laning champions, both in the mid and in the bottom lane, and try and rush some sort of advantage for themselves that way. You know, while Warlock will probably take one of his customary tank champions up in the top lane.
I mean, they just want to find out just how big the gap between them and EDG is. G4 touted as one of the best mid laner there in that region, but the problem is he's going up against Pawn, so he's definitely going to be down. Just a matter to see like how much, you know, how long can they hold on. But we've seen EDG also play against some wildcard teams in the past, and a lot of teams, when they face wildcard teams, they have this element of strategy where they're like, let's just lean back, we know we're the better late game team. Well, EDG, they like to do the opposite.
Yeah, exactly. They just like to go for the gullet. They rush as soon as they see any sort of weakness, especially if Pawn gets something like TF. We've seen him run over so many teams so quickly, basically using the ultimate on cooldown. You know, one example would be at MSI versus Besiktas. EDG were able to get, at 18 minutes, a 17,000 gold lead.
Yeah.
And the score was 19-2. So, like, versus wildcard teams, traditionally, EDG just likes to put the pedal to the metal and try and end as quickly as they can. So it's very scary.
It doesn't even have to be against wildcard teams. In the first round of regionals, they faced off against Snake, which isn't a bad team by no means. It's a good LPL team, and they just said, well, we want to get to Worlds. We're done slumping. Here's a statement. They completely won that game against Snake, that series, and they just went on for the regionals. Had a nice match against IG, but they still were the better team overall. Got that second seed. That's why they got here. And I'm just curious to see how much they still progress from that. You know, is EDG playing like perfect right now? Where are they in the state? How well have they adapted to these new picks and bans? Because they've already brought out some of them, but you know, still got to see the Darius. You know, Mordekaiser. Is it going to come out?
Yeah, I'm really excited for the pick and bans. Just because of what we already saw earlier today, but also because even, you know, watching the Bangkok Titans, they pull out a lot of champions that even people previously, when the meta was fairly settled, were not using that much. You know, they have all kinds of things like the Udyr, Mundo was used, Sejuani, all these different champions that they pull out, not only in the top lane, but also in the jungle there. And G4 has said that he's also not afraid of picking counter-pick weird champions in the mid lane, those melees like all AD J4 and stuff like that. So they as well can come out with some surprising choices.
You really can, and that's the thing about G4. Zed, Diana, these picks we're starting to see a little bit more of. G4 was doing that before they were back in the metagame. He just loves to play his comfort picks. Even pulled out Yasuo as a surprise pick to take out the Chiefs in the wildcard tournament. So G4's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, I mean, not quite as much success with the Varus, but
no, unfortunately.
I'm just so happy to see the mid lane shift away from just Azir and Victor. And even though that's what we said at the analyst at the start show, guys, Azir and Victor, they're gone. What happens the first match? Azir versus Victor. But overall, we see a lot more champion diversity, playstyle diversity. You can go for assassins, you can go for control mages. You can build so many more team comps right now. It's not set in stone, especially if you enter into normal lanes and the whole game gets just a new dynamic. We haven't even seen Mordekaiser yet. It's just so exciting. And the first 2-3 days, I think, from Worlds, we're going to learn a lot of how these teams have been scrimming behind the scenes, in the dark. This is the first time in very long amount of time that these teams have way more information than the public. Usually we track, week to week, LCS, what have they been playing, what is going to come out.
I've been prying into as many pros as I possibly can to try and get some insight, but they're being pretty tight-lipped.
Yeah. But that makes sense. It's a very big tournament here. So we do have a quick delay, but shouldn't be too much longer before we're into the champion select for this game. And kind of like you both were alluding to, I think these two teams very malleable in how they can pick. Lots of flexible players, good, strong solo laners that can pick almost whatever they want. So as far as, 518, the world's metagame goes, we could certainly see fireworks.
Yeah, and EDG, they may not want to reveal too much this game, because obviously their eyes are on SKT, who are the pairing in the group here, and that is definitely what everybody's waiting for. That match, that rematch from back in the day from MSI, if that's going to come out. SKT, they're a little good, but they dropped the ball a tiny bit, you could say, against HJK.
Faker a few times.
Meanwhile, on Bangkok Titans side, they don't have much to lose because they're such big underdogs. Whatever they are able to accomplish here would be something big. So they don't have to worry about playing really safe. They can go for a risky level 1. They can go all out on some sort of invade to try and earn an advantage that way, and then try and snowball for the early game. So I do expect the beginning of this game to be filled with blood.
Yeah, this is what we usually see once these wildcard teams make it to Worlds. They need to snowball, because later in the game, EDG has so much experience when it comes to closing out the games and just even coming back from a small deficit. So you really want to create a large deficit somehow. It's going to be rough, but every game has to be played in the end.
It does, and I like your point about not playing not to lose, because that's honestly how the Bangkok Titans play anyway. Yeah. Very chaotic, very just all over the place, but they always bring it together, like you guys have mentioned, as a team when they need to collapse on that one big moment.
I do enjoy watching these teams that that prefer the high tempo style.
Yeah.
Especially when
it's more exciting.
Yeah, when we're going to get matchups like this.
No, I prefer the 50-minute laning phase,
well,
that nobody does anything except watch people farm.
Oh, so you're ready for the Korean quarterfinals then, Krivo? And on the other side as well, EDG, they're a team that likes to send a message. So you'd think, you're a favorite team in the group. EDG, one of the strongest, if not the strongest team in this group. Everyone waiting for that big matchup, but even against the smaller teams, if you want to put it that way, EDG are a team that when they want to win and they really want to smash you, because they have to send a message to not just you, but everyone else in the tournament.
Yeah, I especially like EDG's cross-map play as well. Mentioned the TF already, but something else that they do is they'll try and save their teleports rather than having teleport to start the team fight or something like that. They'll try and say, oh, we're going to win this team fight, and then my top laner is going to go back to base and teleport in, and we're going to take an objective after it as well.
Certainly are, but we are into Champ Select now, or getting into Champ Select for a game here between the Chinese side EDG and the Bangkok Titans. Yasuo is the first ban out from EDG as the Bangkok Titans respond with Twisted Fate.
So right off the bat, targeting G4 there a little bit, as well as the Elise we've seen, very popular early game jungle. So EDG trying to take not only that line of attacking G4, but also some of the early aggressive junglers away.
Yeah, Bangkok Titans, they don't want to get global, so TF is off the board here.
I'd say that's a good one.
Away from Pound, I think that's a good strategy. They're one of the few teams here, I think it's the first team that actually bans Kalista on red side. That used to be the staple 100% pick ban, always ban on red side, especially in the LPL where EDG hails from. But recently has been nerfed a little, just a lot more stronger champions have come up. Risen to the top, so Kalista traditionally not banned on red side. Bangkok Titans still a fan of it.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I do expect Lloyd to go with an AD carry that is very strong in the laning phase and try and play aggressively.
But how do you play aggressively on Deft and Mako? They're probably the masters of just...
You never know until you try, Crepo.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you're the support player, huh?
Well, we do have a Mordekaiser ban there as the last one from Bangkok Titans. Lulu on the side of EDG, fairly standard there. And Amazing Jay, he's going to go through a bunch of champions. He will settle on Gangplank.
I do like the Garen hover
He
over
loves
as well.
Garen.
O2, even before the rework.
Yep.
But yeah, Amazing Jay looks like he's going to pick up the flex pick for his team. It could go to him. He could keep it. They obviously have already shown that Pawn will play it in the mid lane as well.
Yeah, definitely being able to flex that Gangplank is important because there are counter picks available, like the Riven. Even Fiora does well because you can repost a lot of the damage that he puts out with the barrels and prevent, you know, the big chunky that he can do in lane. Having the ability to flex that just gives you so many options.
Yeah.
Titan style, Braum has to be picked up in early rotation if you do value the patch you're playing on.
It's just such a strong support here, so I wouldn't be too surprised to the Titans pick that one up, but plenty of options here with about 15 seconds left for the Thai side. Running out of time though, and you know, like you mentioned, EDG already have a strong first pick, and they are going to go Rek'Sai Braum as their next two.
Yeah, 007, good versatile jungler here. He also has been able to use Rek'Sai very effectively for early game pressure, not only going for ganks, but as well setting up some good counter ganks. So definitely paying attention to his minion waves for his early laners.
You also just don't give away much information on this first round.
Exactly.
Very generic. Jungle plus Braum is one of the most generic openings you can do on the red side. This allows you to at least hide some information, wait for the blue side to at least reveal something. You know, obviously they're not going to tell you where that Gangplank's going, and they're probably just going to answer with a generic jungle pick in return.
Yeah, the Gangplank is actually really scary too, because, you know, whether it goes top or mid, the global ultimate is just such a good answer for any team that's going to try and push the tempo, for any team that's going to try and make early moves on you. As soon as he hits that level 6, you have to be very careful with fully committing to a fight.
And we've seen Pawn do some pretty silly things with Gangplank barrels, but it is Skarner, champion clearly played a lot in the regional playoffs, and Thresh, a very standard pick there for Mako.
Yeah, huge playmaking champion there for Mako picked up, and Clearlove's already shown once again he's taken up the Skarner. So since then, he's got a couple balance changes, but let's see how it works out this time. Definitely does have that single target to lock down. It's always a good champion when you know you're playing against a team that has a really big star player where they focus a lot of resources into one person.
Yeah, even if he does get ahead, he's still forced to buy that QSS, you know, slowing his build down, not allowing him to carry. Mako here locking in the Thresh. He's mostly known, if you don't really know Mako, for Braum, for Annie, obviously also for Thresh. He can pretty much play anything at a consistently high level, very consistent support. The same way, Deft is just a very consistent laner. That's what they want to do. They rarely go for the flashy, you know, all-in type of plays that you can maybe expect out of Imp, you know, going for the crazy kill. But Deft, if he farms up slightly even, he's technically ahead because he will just out-teamfight you.
Certainly is, as Malco Vayne were the picks for Bangkok Titans, and Deft hovering a pick. He's apparently been playing quite a lot in his solo queue boot camping, but we'll see what EDG want to select with 40 seconds to make their last two picks.
Yeah, the previous round there for Bangkok Titans, not really a surprise. Warlock pretty much always likes to be on that comfortable tank champion for the top lane. He is also the captain for the team, so he does get to make, you know, the teleport calls to try and engage there and alert the rest of the team. Lloyd going to go with that Vayne to pair with Braum. We were talking about this earlier, actually. The Braum Vayne lane does vary quite a bit.
Yeah, it swings both directions. So if you get ahead with Braum Vayne, you can win really hard, but that requires you to land your Q, because then you're still playing a melee support with a very short-ranged AD carry with no innate like AoE wave clear, no boomerangs, no AoE rockets, so you can snowball both directions very easily. Whereas if you look at here, Deft and Mako, what they pick up, very defensive support that can play at range. Most of the supports that can play at very high range in teamfights can actually go for an early Zeke's. Combine that with 2-item Jinx. Those are AoE 100% crit rockets in teamfights after you focus down the tank. And then you have Darius to clean up. Just so much damage.
Plus, I love the Thresh Skarner combo. Once they hit 6, both around the similar time, you get the Lantern in for an immediate Skarner ulti on the Vayne, and you're just you're not unlucky is, I guess, the term that you guys like to use.
That's the ear term, unlucky. But if you look at the team comp here for EDG, first thing you see is so much physical damage, and usually that is a worrying trend. But overall here, those AoE crit rockets you can get from Zeke, Zeke's, that allows you to just do so much damage that armor doesn't really matter. You have armor penetration passively on that Gangplank barrels as well. Slightly nerfed right now, 40% just, but overall, there should still be plenty of damage on the side of EDG.
Yeah, there is that. That definitely does clear up the build path for Warlock, though.
Yeah, frozen hard boys.
He knows. Yeah, he knows exactly what he's going to do with this Maokai.
And I mean, it's a very typical comp from both teams, honestly. Deft on a champion he was once undefeated on until the team started slumping just a bit in the LPL. And Zed, of course, the insta-lock coming out for G4 makes a lot of sense.
I'm just a little worried here for the Bangkok Titans.
Yeah.
They can fall behind in damage relatively easy. Like, they can fall behind super quickly. They only have Vayne and Zed as carries in these fights. That's going to require some really good positioning when you're going ahead against the zone from Darius, the zone from a Gangplank, and you have to get to that Jinx somehow. Kill them all with only 2 threats. That's going to be incredibly hard.
It is definitely going to be scary for them. But as you said, G4, this is basically his favorite champion. The iconic G4 champion is going to be on the Zed. Maybe they'll be able to get to the split pushing.
And with the picks locked in, head over to Twitter and let us know how you think this game will go. Tweet at LOL Esports with the hashtag EDGWin or hashtag BKTWin, and we'll tally up the votes in just a bit. And it looks like we are going to be getting ourselves onto the Rift as Z2's teams take to the World Championship stage for the first time here in Paris. EDG over on the left, your blue side for this game, and the Bangkok Titans, a wildcard team, over on the red side.
All right, let's see how quickly they get out to start and capture these spires for Clear Love.
Yeah, a little mini game added on as Skarner got into the game.
You can start on the ones in the river and collect them immediately and still get back to a normal jungle start.
They're not proccable until like 1 minute, 1:15, right?
Yeah.
Takes a while.
You can easily finish the channel, though, and get back in time. We'll see if Bangkok Titans try and contest them. the minion objectives first.
Oh, Deft. Showing a bit of flair there with that new summoner icon. Always looking good.
I think it's likely we'll see a lane swap come out of Bangkok Titans. So having to play Vayne, Braum into Jinx Thresh, you just get outranged by both. You're playing one range, one melee into double range. Not only that, it's so incredibly hard to get to Deft, because even if you proc the Winter's Bite, one flay is enough to peel you off. You're never going to proc that stun, and then he outranges on level 1 already, Deft. And as the game goes on, those rockets are just going to be such an easy trade into the Vayne every time.
Well, trying to get taken there as EDG just moving out, but like you mentioned, there is that lane swap happening. Deft staying out of range of that Trinket Ward by the looks of things here. A minute 45 in. It's just going to be straight to those 2v1 lanes.
Yeah, and if you look at the top lane, how diversified the meta is already. This is the 7th different top laner that we've seen today. Darius has only been the only one repeating champion, so overall, yeah, the meta is shifting, and if people are still finding their stride, maybe towards the later stage of the tournament, we'll see some repeat on some champions, but from solo queue experience, Darius, he hurts.
Certainly does.
Very true. He also heals. All right, so Mako and Def going to actually take the blue buff themselves here. Started out, so a double blue buff start. Bangkok Titans, it looks like they are 100% going to get 3 buffed here.
Yeah, they lane swap, but what they did is they only secured 1 quadrant of their jungle. I know you love talking about those quadrants, Kobe. Aggressive invade, just to spot if they're jungling on the right side of the map. EDG starts double jungle on the left side of the map. They're going to get such a big experience lead. And Bangkok Titans, yeah, this is what we see. 4-man gank in the middle lane.
Oh, no, he's failing, he flashes!
Warlock!
Can't lock it down!
Oh, the flash twisted advance. He gets a minion instead there.
25 gold?
Well, I don't think he killed the minion either, but Pawn, they did get the flash out of Pawn, but again, this is what we're talking about. They like to pour all their resources into the mid lane, finish off one jungle quadrant, and immediately try and go burn.
Not everybody can be double doge. That honor is just laid away for a specific amount of people. Just
Double
doesn't really
Doge
work.
is a god.
Well, you can see Bangkok Titans, Moss going to check that brush with his Winter's Bite. Doesn't quite get it though.
Yeah, EDG though, punishing Bangkok Titans very heavily for that super safe start where they started actually on their strong side of the jungle, so not going to have much more to farm here.
Yeah, and look at Moss right now. He confirms his Darkest Sphere. That entire jungle is empty, so by proxy, you can deduce that EDG's remaining members went to the down right side of the map, then the up right of the map, which means they're about to get a dive here of 4 against 2, and EDG, they're clean enough to execute this.
And this ward that Mako just dropped, I love it. That's where you see the top laners coming in to teleport as well. They don't need him because he walked all the way here. 4 versus 2.
Here comes the dive play, back there, Warlock getting low, Mako, he's in trouble, he flashes out, but Death, he's getting a first blood, that's a double kill for the Jinx.
This is the tempo that we're talking about for EDG. They do not like to let you have a moment's respite.
Yeah, an incredibly clean execution. Mako starts tanking, he gets out before he dies. By that time, Deft has 1 kill, 2 kills. Now his double buff tower's dying, Warlock comes back, he wants some more.
Oh my god! They're gonna get locked up. Clear looking for the stun. Deft wants a 3rd kill. The auto's good. Rocket follows Deft. Gets himself 3 kills in 4 minutes.
All right, that was definitely painful to watch. They punish the lane swap. They go for the early dive, successful dive, and a repeat there after the teleport is also blown. They even have teleport advantage. Okay, the one thing for Bangkok Titans is Lloyd has been free farming in the top side.
Lloyd is actually on even CS with Deft, and that is an accomplishment. But Deft, it is 4 minutes, 45 seconds in the game. He has now acquired 2,000 gold sitting in the bank, ready to be spent. So he can basically get a BF sword when Lloyd is still struggling. He is 3-0 already. This is gonna get real ugly real quick.
Yeah.
We did expect it to be bloody early, so.
We did, and that's the EDG power, really. We've seen them dive teams of all different calibers over and over again. SK Telecom sure know the feeling of getting dived by EDG.
Yeah, Boots here picked up. In addition to that BF sword, Dev says, okay, I'm done in the bot lane. I'm just going to go top lane, you know, fight Lloyd, because he hasn't really seen too many EDG members overall. Amazing J ahead of Warlock in, yeah, not in farm, but 2 levels up, I think, in XP overall. So EDG, yeah, completely in control already.
And teams should take note. Yes, this is, you know, a massive lead for EDG, and they're huge favorites to win this. However, EDG being able to finish out when they get leads this big is something that you need to pay attention to. Immediate pickup on pink wards here, immediately looking for deep vision. They're trying to cut off any sort of resources from Bangkok Titans.
Dev can now aggressively trade with that red buff and those rockets, and immediately, as you said, you know, how do you snowball an advantage? You pair your jungler with your support. You aggressively move in, you find the enemy jungler. Once he's out, you can't even gank anymore because you know exactly where he is. And Pawn, even though he got ganked early, he had to blow his flash, he's now completely controlling the pace in the mid lane against G4. So Bangkok Titans, they're crumbling left, right, and center already.
And he's just hit 6 there as well, so ultimate going to be available for the next bit of EDG aggression. Mako is going to move his way towards the mid, but does go for the recalls. Amazing J, happily 1v1 in the bottom side as Deft is mowing through this turret.
It's going to be very scary here. Deft can easily get resets in these team fights, even on the front line. No matter how much money Warlock pours into armor, Deft is just so far ahead. It's a really unfortunate feeling as a tank when you're you know you have a clear path, and yet you just can't get enough money off of the map to even take a couple rockets from Jinx.
Also, if that lane ever matches up 1v1, Vayne against Jinx gets incredibly hard. The worst part of that matchup is BF plus pickaxe against Cutlass. If you ever find yourself in that situation, you rarely do because the way the game plays out traditionally. But after a 3-0 Jinx start, there's no trading you can do. Jinx completely outrages you. Mako comes in, Lantern.
Again, ulti up from Pawn as well. G4, good dodge there, but the exhaust is out from Pawn. Clear up, follows in, looks for the stun. Ulti up from G4 is going to try and save his life, but a Chomper's going to give Death his kill number 4.
And look how quickly they go to the mid turret here. This one will be knocked down pretty much effortlessly. Nobody from Bangkok Titans can come up to rotate and try and defend with Rek'Sai here, so she'll probably be on her own, and that's going to be another outer turret for EDG fairly shortly here. Actually, they're not even trying to pressure it unless they leave Deft there. Clear left with eyes for bottom lane.
And they're probably just not used to being this far ahead this early overall.
They've done it before. We talked about the Besiktas game. Well, we'll keep track and see if they actually hit that
if they
mark.
can beat that record. But yeah, overall
time trials.
time trials. They're playing against EDG's Ghosts, you know, in those map races. But overall, EDG, they don't extend these laning phases either. Like, they choose to go move Deft away from that bot lane and then go top for some more pressure on the tower. They don't really play the solo queue game where they keep going 2v2 and try smashing each other just for a kill and then base. So they're really playing the map right now. They went for a tower. Deft, yeah, kind of afraid whether Moss is in there or not, because Mako was roaming before. Now Mako comes back, and that should be a very, very easy 2v2 here.
Safety net is back here for EDG. They're up 3,000 gold already, 8.5 minutes in.
Now, hard mode is to look at this and try and find the way for Bangkok Titans to try and get back in this. And they do have at least the Brutalizer completed here for G4. He is stuck in mid lane right now. They also, it's going to be very hard for them because they don't have a lot of vision to work with.
That was well executed.
But, yeah.
Mob's getting poked out here. He actually needs to save that shield somehow.
They're just going to go in. Looks like Slow is going to miss. No ulti out there from Def. They'll give it up this time, but pressure really on in the bottom lane.
The only way he's going to win that trade is if he can save the first hit on his shield for the Jinx ultimate to negate that damage, because otherwise they're never going to win 2v2. But yeah, he gets zoned out immediately.
Yeah.
G4 putting some pressure on Pawn here, but eats an orange.
Yeah, I was going to start talking about G4 roams, but again, Pawn is on Gangplank. He has the ultimate ready, so he can even answer that roam. And just sending the ultimate is actually enough to turn the tide since EDG are so far ahead. So.
And since their top lane jungle combination from the Bangkok Titans, here W7X and Wallet are just so low damage, if they fall behind, it actually gets quite scary to gank Darius. He can take you out 2v1, especially with the reset mechanic on that ulti. So, Pound ulti coming in.
Yep, going back G4, looking to try and get out of it. Clear of ulti, no Mako follows in with a hook, the damage is down. Ulti's used, but Pawn's gonna get the kill.
This may very well be the first perfect game here at Worlds. Fnatic, they were close. They were 1 kill away in their first game today. So if EDG can avoid dropping a tower, maybe that's what they're playing for now. Instead of just playing for the victory, they want a perfect game.
Just cancel some recalls there.
Need some more AD for that to work. And you see Dev.
Cancelled recalls are very important at this stage, though. Even a couple seconds here. That's probably going to buy them Dragon.
Yeah, again, more tempo, more objectives. But Dev, this is something we see a lot in the LPL. Even when ahead, these guys like buying average blades. These are like their insurance. If somehow something goes wrong, at least I'm getting GP10. I'm not sure if I agree with it in every situation, but
true definition of avarice there.
Certainly is, as Dragon #1 is going to go to EDG, forcing them away with that ult from Def just to make sure Bangkok Titans couldn't get there. And again, the lead continues to build here for the LPL team.
All right, let's see how Bangkok Titans are at setting up defensive warding now, because that is the emergency mode you have to go into.
Yep.
Try and set up defensive wards in your jungle. Uh-oh, here goes Baby J, though. He's going to trade on Maokai. He is Maokai, though, so...
relatively tanky. Amazing J came out of late swap, only has some assist, only the phase completed so far, so Warlock should be relatively, but look at the position of that wave also, it's pushing backwards, so EDG controlling waves, trying to find out where the enemy jungle is, not making any rash decisions. They don't need any of those fancy outplays. They generally, all their kills have come from outnumbering their opponents, generally reading the map and then making that play.
Exactly. When you're this far ahead, all you really need to do is continue to pressure all 3 lanes because you're stronger in all 3 of them, and ward up the jungle so that Bangkok Titans can't move from lane to lane and can't farm anywhere. Basically, you want to cut off any way for your enemy to farm.
Yeah, you just starve them out, especially if they do manage to sneak past you and get a numbers advantage somewhere on the map. You can simply cross-map them. Take a tower somewhere else, take some jungle camp somewhere else, and it's incredibly hard to get out of that stranglehold. Once it's in that position, once it's being executed, it's almost too late to come back. This is why we saw, early Season 3, Split Push was so popular because teams couldn't deal with it. Just like Lloyd may not be able to deal with this hook.
Is going in. Lloyd actually has to pop his ulti. Moss and 007X will get in. Mako, maybe the target is cleared up, does get stunned by the Braum passive Death. He's in there, he's going to pop the ulti in melee range. Pawn, first kill onto Lloyd, but G4's going to come out. 007X is low. He'll die as Death. He's going to flash his way out, but can they get the kill? G4 will land the shutdown, but the Dunks going to give Darius the double.
They killed Def, they deny the perfect game. But G4's trapped under. Oh,
flash! Gets himself to safety, but EDG are not done. They'll plow straight through mid lane.
Yeah, G4 gets that kill, prevents himself from becoming G04, gets at least 1 kill. Perfect game denied. But 8,000 lead on the board already. To match that gold lead that they had in earlier Wildcard Teams matches, they need to get roughly 9,000 gold in the next 5-6 minutes, so it's going to be hard to break that record.
The time trial is on, is what Kripo is saying, as EDG will back off. Going to spend some more of that money. You can see their items are massive already. Def close to the Infinity Edge. Sight turns completed for both support and jungle, as we have a replay.
All right, so Mako drops the ward, has sight, lands the hook and play combo. And here comes the entire party. What a good Gangplank ultimate as well, cutting off the retreat there. Yeah, look at Def, though, right into the middle of the fight.
Because it forces Lloyd forward. Def knows if he gets a reset and some damage, they're going to win this fight regardless. He doesn't have to survive this fight for it to be a big win for EDG. And look at the damage that are still alive. Even if Def falls, we still have a Darius, with the ulti. We have Pawn on the Gangplank that can even win 1v2s later on with those barrels. So there's so much depth coming out.
Yeah, at that point, they're just looking for more people to commit to the fight.
Yeah.
And Black Cleaver done for Darius. Trinity Force done there, so that damage certainly online now for Edward Gaming.
And that's the way you really play that Darius. Early armor penetration from the Black Cleaver, and then you just go tanky. You get Dead Man's Blade, and you basically become unkillable in addition to having very high base damage on your abilities. and armor shred on top of that, it becomes such a hard task to deal with. You just have to kite him. That's all you can do. All you can try.
And the armor shred is even just like icing on the cake for Darius. Like Black Cleaver is the one-stop shop to best item that you can rush for him. The movement speed for all the bleed damage that keeps ticking, and it has health, it has cooldown reduction.
If you buy one now.
If there were more versions of it, yeah.
there a sale?
Like, give me one.
Well, tower does fall in the bottom side as EDG knocked down 5 of Bangkok Titans' turrets. 8-1 up in kills, continuing to spiral ahead in gold. Almost 10k ahead as 007X is found Amazing J, but Amazing J will stand and fight. Paul's going to help him out. The ulti's good. Looking for the dunk. Apprehend. Does find and he gets the kill. 1v2.
And this is exactly what we feared. Hang on, Moss is getting caught again.
Hooked up there by Skarner. Pawn's going to ride in, and that's another killer's death. Barely misses the secure.
And this is exactly what we feared. And Champs, like, yes, they have a lot of tanks against a one-dimensional team composition, but they can run out of damage if they fall behind, and they were so prone to falling behind, especially after that missed 4-man gank in the mid lane on Pawn.
Yeah, you can know that the smart decision is to just buy armor, and you can know your path all you want, but if you don't have any money to spend on armor, then it doesn't matter. He's only got Ninja Tabby.
That is literally all he has. He wishes he had a Frozen Heart, and this is the danger. Ganking a Darius 1v2 is already tricky. Having Pawn's global ulti come out on top of that is just, that's adding insult to injury overall, and Bangkok Titans is in an incredibly tough position right now, over 10,000 gold behind, and it's only 15 minutes in. But it was to be expected. They're going out against a powerhouse coming out of LPL region. You know, many people would have rated them the best team in China if it wasn't for LGD's rise at the end and EDG's minor slump, or decent slump at the end of the season.
And EDG on track for fastest game ever. I believe their record is 20 minutes and 14 seconds against Royal Never Give Up in the LPL. So those time trials we talked about could also be here as Clearlove's going to face check Moss. Def firing away with his IE now, and Moss has to pop the shield up and run away.
Yeah, bold move to venture out into the jungle here, and it looks like they do get snared.
No follow though, just going to do some extra poke damage there with the rockets. Dragon up in 15 seconds. Deft has a red elixir. EDG very ready to fight for this dragon.
And that average blade on Deft already paid out 230 gold. Just getting those small increments.
He really needed it, Trevor.
Yeah, I really need it. I think that is what separates the good from the best AD characters. I actually dislike it. I think when you're this far ahead, second item Panther Dance is still better. But who am I to disagree with them?
Well, EDG are going to start up this dragon, and it looks like Bangkok Titans are just going to try and collect some farm. Difficult to challenge here, maybe even impossible, as they will pick it up, and this game is only getting further and further out of reach.
All right, let's see how EDG try and close the loose here. Again, they've just constantly been keeping up the deep vision. Now they're going to try and keep...
Nice little
Han
combo.
does get caught, though.
Yeah, G4 coming in. The exhaust is down. He's going to ride the Lantern out to safety. Ulti will proc, but it's not enough damage. And that GP ult almost kills Moss. Def going to snipe him off with the rocket. Lloyd pumps a heal to run, but Clearlove, he wants blood. And he's going to now look for 007X.
Clearlove will ult anyone that he can take. He doesn't care if it's the front line. If he grabs you...
Oh, Mako! Moves them back into the box as Clearlove collects it.
And this would be the perfect time to test out those new emotes. Overall, especially when Pawn escaped there on the Lantern riding away.
I really do love the team spamming emotes. I'm actually waiting for one of the really trolly players to take the emote of the opposing team.
That's the next level emote strategy.
You can even use them when you're dead, I believe. So that's, even from the grave, you can contribute to a pleasant viewing experience.
Well, that's great for you, Crepo.
That's how I found out. You know, I do die a lot. 18 minutes, first inhibitor goes down. EDG, yeah, 13,000 gold now.
I hate to break it to you, but I have been informed that the refs are not allowing them to take the other team's emote. So we'll keep it clean. You can only use
sportsmanlike.
Pride in your own team.
Well, they've shown a lot here, have EDG. As the minute hit does go down, Bangkok Titans going to struggle to keep Edward Gaming out of their base at this point. Just so many items. Giant's Belt for Amazing J. More tanky items out for Clearlove. A Brutalizer for Pawn. The static shift completed for Deft. And it's just a couple Blade of the Ruined Kings on the other side.
Yeah, and we touched about how one-dimensional the damage coming out of EDG was, but if you look over, Vayne and Zed, the only two carries, the only two threats on Bangkok Titans are also just, you know, either 80 damage and a hit of 2 damage. That is if Vayne actually gets 3 attacks off, which is getting increasingly more difficult as these fights progress. So right now, even those bruisers stacking armor, they become so difficult to kill.
Yeah, and you already touched on the armor shred from Darius. Gangplank has his own built-in armor shred as well, so
Jinx doesn't care because she has like a full item up on anybody else in the game.
Mr. Play, he'll land the hook though. Clearlove gonna follow in.
Wow,
Pawn's ulti sets it up as Death snipes it with a zap.
High accuracy this game from Mako on the death sentences so far. Even
And-
the flash ones.
Yeah, and if you, Mako fantastic Thresh overall, really in his element right here. But if you look at EDG, the amount of assists that most of these members have, that indicates that they've been playing a very team-oriented game where initially they just want to outnumber people. They haven't been beating anybody 2v2, 1v1 straight up because they don't have to. Crowd is a big Mako fan here, chanting his name, always fun to be.
Well
But yeah,
deserved.
a high kill participation on most members here. Finally, CLG finds
Oh, G4.
G4.
Trouble now as Death just kills him before the ulti can even pop. EDG now going to funnel into that base, look for more kills, but they'll be more than happy to take another inhibitor.
All right, inhibitor number 2 down. They're going to go for Nexus turrets next.
And Deft is just looking to end the game. We talked about it, 20 minutes 14, I believe, so they might be on the clock here to try and race it. Don't know if they can do it, but the Bangkok Titans are going to try and keep it in. The ulti's out. Good block there from Moss. And you can see the pings on Baron. EDG, they do love themselves an early Baron.
Yeah, look at those pink wards. 5 pink wards, 1 in each corner. It's like a pentagram. Yeah, complete vision control. And yes, okay, EDG is super far ahead, so, you know, so those pink wards aren't as impressive, but if you're gonna follow EDG throughout the entire tournament, hang on, surrender.
Yeah, and that's the surrender for Bangkok Titans. The Baron could not be completed as EDG in style take their first game here in Paris.
Yep, well deserved. Mako with some big plays from the very beginning of the game, actually, outplaying a lot of the lane swap and continuing into the jungle, keeping up the pressure that we were looking for.
Yeah, I just love the level 1 strategy here. It almost had no downfall, even if they found, you know, if Mako and Def found the opposing top lane jungle duo jungling, then it could still be an even game from then onwards. But if it works out the way they did, Bangkok Titans, they wanted the lane swap so badly that they forgot to think about jungle quadrants at all. They just started on one side of the map. They got completely 3-buffed, 3 quadrant jungled almost. So that was so hard to come back from.
And the Bangkok Titans, they knew what they were up against. That's why they kind of went for this super risky, everybody go mid, we're going to try and flash Twisted Advance to make something happen. And it
He hit him in it.
stumbled. Yeah.
Well, the 4-man gank in mid lane's a very common occurrence in the LPL as well. Pawn more than prepared as he dodges that, and EDG vault ahead to a very quick win here in Paris. You can see the crowd applauding, cheering for the team as they'll take one of their first battles here at the tournament.
And just a smart, calculated approach to the game. Outnumber your opponents, clean dives. That dive, that was textbook. Mako taking the aggro, everybody getting a kill, nobody dying in the process. The first death was only Deft after Lloyd was zoned into the fight. And at that point, if he dies, if he gets 2 kills, that fight is 100% guaranteed to EDG. The game is guaranteed. It doesn't matter that you give up your life there. So overall, just clean textbook play. Very high kill participation across the board. So working as a team.
And if there's one way to describe EDG, I think it has to be efficient. Very clean dives, very strong strategy, just always know where to go and what to do.
And to touch on that pink ward point that we were talking about earlier, how the vision spread out, they're actually masters of using Fog of War to their advantage to bait. Sadly enough, it wasn't needed this game. They really need to bait because they had their pick of the litter. Mako could choose any target, hook it in, clear off.
It's going to be a long group stage. There'll be more.
Yeah, I really hope to
games.
see that. If you ever see EDG fall behind, pink ward in the brush, Skarner, flash over ulti, that's something they did against IG. So that is hopefully a play we'll see again from EDG.
And I think, again, really just showing same form that they did from regionals. Very similar picks. Clearlove back on the Skarner. Amazing Jay, the new player, if you will, but of course, just on the Darius.
Yep. All right. So good lane, good tower dive by them, and they were able to clean it up.
Very clean there. But let's check out how Group C stands after one game here for each team. We'll have a check-in with the standings. It is the favorites, as expected, 1-0 up a piece. SK Telecom and EDG hold 1 win here in Group C.
That's what we expected. I mean, everybody coming into the day expected H2K to lose to SKT and obviously the Bangkok Titans to drop a game here against EDG. Interesting game. H2K against SKT though, overall a little slightly closer than people expected, but still a very large disparity overall between the two teams.
Yeah, there have been some exciting games so far, especially the Champion Select. We're going to continue to monitor the Day 1 Champion Select.
Like, how many new top laners can they find? They've only had 1 replica. Only Darius has been picked twice. For the rest of the games, every game a single new top laner. So eventually, they got to run out.
And he's already found himself on the ban list as well.
Yeah.
So Darius is definitely extremely high priority.
I don't know how much Amazing Jay you guys have watched, but I can promise you there's probably a couple more top laners if you guys want to get excited.
I'm actually still waiting for the Olaf
The Olaf?
to make
That's
his
true,
rotation
actually.
because he's definitely something that Amazing J has played before as well, and something that people kind of forget about when there's so many new toys on the block for the top lane. They're like, oh, all these juggernauts. Olaf was like the original juggernaut of the top lane. He still has good matchups.
Yeah, he played it in the matchup against IG actually to get that final victory, or one of the final victories to get here as a second seed to World. So he definitely can play that champions. Overall for the tournament, I think we've seen almost all top laners against Olaf. We've even seen Gnar, which I don't think is that high on the priority list anymore. But I just want to see more Fiora. We saw it once only, and I think the champion is incredibly strong, especially when you have really, really good repulse mechanics. You can dodge so much damage.
You can dodge a lot here, but we do have Shock standing by with EDG's jungler Clearlove to get an insider's perspective on that game.
Yes, thank you very much, guys. Indeed joined here by EDG's Clearlove after that victory, and Wenson helping here out with the translation. Congratulations, first off, in your very first game here at World.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyway, it was an underdog match for the Bangkok Titans going in, yet you guys were very convincing. Something I would like to talk about is the Skarner pick. We saw it earlier in the day from the side of IG. Didn't work out. How have you played him, and how do you make him work?
你们这次有一个就是非常完美的胜利，然后他注意到了你的 Skarner 用的非常好，想问一下你对 Skarner 这英雄有什么心得？
这英雄的话，就是前6级就很法力，如果到6级后2打2、3打3打团都很厉害，所以说这是我选择他的原因。
Okay, Skarner is relatively weak pre level 6, but ever after level 6, no matter in 2v2, in 3v3s, Skarner extremely strong, and that's why he picked it.
Okay, it worked out really well also in synergy with that Darius top lane, and that was on Amazing J. How has it been for the team adjusting to playing with Amazing J? And more precisely, your synergy with him, how has that been going?
你们这次觉得用了 Amazing J instead of Coral， 就是替代了 Coral， 你们觉得你和 Amazing J 的配合有没有什么特别的地方？然后你觉得 Amazing J 打得怎么样？
就我们 GJ 的话，它更适应这个版本，所以说，他这把的话打得挺好的。
They think they have the new patch, and Amazing J might be better in this patch, and he played really well this game, so he's happy for that.
A fantastic Darius, that is true. Last time I talked to you, Clearlove, was after the mid-season invitational where you guys won over SKT. Then you told me we are going to learn from this and become even better. Do you think you have come good enough to take this World Championship home?
就是他看了你们在 MSI 的表现，然后你们表现得非常好，然后你们战胜了 EDG。但是你当时说过你会变得更强，对这种决赛，你觉得你们这次的准备如何？你们有没有机会拿下这个比赛？
就是我们队伍的状态最近还挺好的，然后的话就是，经过这么长的时间嘛，然后个人能力都有提升，然后更重要的是我们的心态变好了很多，我觉得这个是让我们变得更强大。
I think their team is in a really good shape right now, and their individual skill has been improving since MSI, and they have really, good confidence going into the tournament and win the World Championship.
Finally, one big step towards that will be your game Saturday versus SKT. After what happened at MSI, is that not a worry for you?
就是 SKT， 你觉得这次 MSI 战胜他们以后，你们这次还担忧他们吗
？SKT 是很强大的对手。但我觉得最后还是会赢他们。
You think SKT is really strong opponents, but in the end, they think they can take off SKT and win the World Championship.
All right, fantastic. Well, we'll see you on Saturday for that matchup. Thank you so much and congratulations.
谢谢你的 interview.
As for us, we have to take a small break, but when we come back, it's going to be North America's #1 seed Counter Logic Gaming going up against the Flash Wolves. The Flash Wolves, rather. We'll be right back.
We are going to be getting ourselves onto the Rift as Z2's teams take to the World Championship stage. Here comes the dive play, back there, Warlock getting low, Mako, he's in trouble, he flashes out, but Death, he's going to get first blood, that's a double kill! First kill onto Loy, but G4's going to come out, 007, he'll die as Death, he's going to flash his way out, but can they get that kill? The exhaust is down, he's going to ride the Lantern out to safety. Ulti will proc, but it's not enough damage, and that GP ult almost kills one Death. EDG in style take their first game here in Paris.
Welcome back, everyone. The teams are readying up on stage for our 5th match, CounterLogic Gaming versus the Flash Wolves. Doublelift, of course, deciding to make a reappearance on the desk. I'm sure he has things to say about the matchup that's about to happen. Now, in the fight to advance from Group A, this is a must-win for both teams, so let's run down the Rift and look at the matchup. Starting in the top lane, the fight between Zion Spartan and Stake, and I think something that's important to note here is the CS discrepancy between the two of them. Zion Spartan, on average, at 10 minutes, 9.8 up against his opposing mid laner, whereas Stake, in the whole, almost 6 CS on average.
There's like two ways of looking at it. Stake, you could say maybe he gets starved, but in reality, if you take a look at his games, it just looks like as if he's on a hunger strike. He doesn't take anything that is given to him. And speaking of eating, and in this matchup specifically, I think Zion Spartan is going to eat him alive.
Well, speaking of, by the way, Darshan, being a vegetarian, is going to have to switch his traditions and going to have some steak for lunch right now. But on a more serious note, Maple versus Pobelter. Maple is kind of the star of the Flash Wolves. He gets a lot of attention. Pobelter does not. He gets thrown under the bus and any other kind of idioms that you could say as to how little help he gets from his team. There's almost no synergy between him and Xmithie, as he's usually just helping the duo lane out. And Pobelter, regardless, puts a lot of damage for his team. He brings so much to the table with what he gets is very impressive.
Well, this is really a very interesting matchup because of how many mismatches there are as we go down lane by lane and the very big stylistic differences between these two teams. For me, if you take a look at guys like Karsa versus Xmithie, and sure, Xmithie he improved in the playoffs, right? But I wouldn't say that Xmithie had a good performance. I would say he had a very mediocre performance. But it was an improvement. But Karsa's a star on this team. He does about 5% more damage as opposed to, when compared to the rest of this team total, than Xmithie does. He also is a guy who can play early. He can play Nidalee. He can play Lee Sin. These are champions, whereas Xmithie spent the majority of the season sitting on Gragas, and this is going to be dangerous because Pobelter could be a real threat here with the Maple Karsa synergy.
Yep, so mismatches across the lanes, but also if we take a look at the teams and their play styles in general, stylistically, it is a mismatch. Looking at the first 15 minutes of the game, if we look at kill location between these two teams, what we'll notice is a huge priority and focus for CLG in the top lane, whereas the Flash Wolves down near the Dragon, mid and bot lane.
Well, this really just shows how much CLG likes to group because this action in the top side is not just like Zion getting kills by himself. This is lane swaps from CLG. This is mass rotations coming into the top lane to try to take towers. CLG's bot lane being so strong, what usually happens, they take the bot lane turret, rotate into the top. The opposing team wants to defend that. They send a lot of people top, and then CLG can respond by having Xmithie follow, by having a TP advantage, and just really outnumbering. So that's just a really good indication as to the pace that CLG likes to take of taking one tower and then quickly rotating, which is really the standard play when you take a tower advantage.
Now, looking at that jungle matchup, we've spoken to Karsa being a playmaker for the team as well as Maple. But then on the side of CLG, you know, it's usually the side lane focus is either the bot lane or Zion Spartan. Is Xmithie going to be able to keep up with Karsa and, you know, keep the pressure out of the mid lane so that his side lanes can do the work they need to do to create an advantage?
Well, you have to remember, he also plays Lee Sin. Like, Xmithie he's a pretty good Lee Sin. I mean, 2 seasons ago. But, okay, come on.
We're reaching back.
Yeah, I mean, we're dusting the shelves here and really, like, pulling that out. But he can play Lee Sin. Like, he's not the fanciest of Lee Sins, but back then, you didn't really have to do a lot on the champion. You can just play a solid game and play him as a peeling champion as opposed to a playmaker, which is kind of the way that Karsa likes to play. But I do think that he does have the ability to play these champions in an effective way that can deal with aggressive junglers in a better fashion than the Gragas can.
Another thing I want to note here, just as a trend of the first day, the average game time so far today has been 26 minutes and 30 seconds. Incredibly fast games of League of Legends. Granted, there have been some rather lopsided ones between teams that were expected to go that way, which could be skewing the data slightly. But when you're looking at fast game times and then this matchup specifically, does that benefit more? Would you give it to Flash Wolves or CLG in quicker games?
I think that if we look at CLG, they're very good at the lane swap. They tend to get a few kills early. We were watching this in the finals against TSM. But CLG, even though they have these early leads, they did an actually pretty I wouldn't say it was pretty average, but they made some mistakes in closing out the game. So I don't know if this one's going to be as fast. And I'm holding off because what we need to see more of from CLG is effective use of their early game advantages. They get these advantages, and instead of, for example, in the finals, the Yasuo getting really far ahead and then split pushing, they started to group and follow TSM around the map and just be slightly delayed. So TSM was actually able to sort of get back in there for a while by sieging turrets and just avoiding fighting. CLG seems to be, I would say, afraid in the mid game to really drive home an advantage. And that's what I'm looking for them here. If they can do that, then I think they'll be in a good place to win this game quickly and then make it out of this group. If they continue to have these problems, I think this group is much more up in the air.
All right, well, it appears they have a slight audio issue on stage, so we have a little bit more time to talk about these teams we had originally planned. So I'm going to come over to you, Yamato, because originally we spoke about this top lane. When it comes to Stake and his hunger strike, if and when those CS discrepancies are fixed, is he the kind of top laner that can stack up to the likes of Zion Spartan?
It's so hard for me to see. I just doubt it. But I think Monte Cristo highlighted a good point that Zion Spartan, I remember back in Season 4 when he was back on Dignitas, he was doing the split pushes. He was good at split pushing. But right now, when you get these advantages in top lane, usually it is the split pushing that is going to drive you home. And as you said, we haven't seen it.
Hang on. The split pushing is there, but the thing we looked at the resource management from CLG, and a lot of it goes to double lift. So the results that you want from Zion are not as much as you need them to be with how much pressure you're putting on him, how much help you're assisting. So he really needs to crank up the gears. I really don't know how you say that. But you really need to buckle down and get your gears.
I'm really just saying words right now. Well, with all of these stylistic differences pointed out, everybody at home, if you don't want spoilers, mute the stream because I'm about to ask you guys once again for your predictions. Starting off with Yamato.
Counter Logic Gaming.
There it is. Next CLG, and
I'm not even 50% sure of the majority of things that I do. CLG can offer me a 50% chance that they are the best team in the world. That's good enough for me. CLG for this.
That actually explains a lot of your jungling.
Thank you. There you go. Well, that jungling directly affects your team.
Hey, we've identified the problem. If anything, we're making progress here.
We've had a breakthrough.
All right, well, there it is. As we send it out to our casters, Double Lift tells us about the Flash Wolves' reliance on the southern half of Summoner's Rift.
So we can probably expect them to play off of mid and bottom like they have in their playoff games. So yeah, when we watch them, they just normally play really tight with their jungle and support, and their jungle and support just roam between mid and bottom constantly. And they just kind of leave Stake to do whatever. Most of the time he's just dead. So yeah, that's kind of what UA Flash Wolves does.
And pretty classic double lift there.
His time off the analyst desk has really deteriorated his analysis, I feel, over time. It wasn't a quality piece.
Well, it wasn't too bad here. As we're going to check out the starting lineup, getting ourselves into these games. On the blue side, it is Counter Logic Gaming, the #1 seed from North America. In the top, there is Zion Spartan. In the jungle, X-Smithy. Their mid, Po Belter, AD carry, Double Lift, and support, Aframu.
And then on the red side, it's obviously the Flash Wolves. Their top laner, Stake. Perhaps on Hunger side, perhaps not, who knows. Jungle Karsa, mid Maple, AD carry Kramer, he's back in. Yeah, got subbed out a while ago, but then comes back here. And support Sword Art, ready to go into game. Sword Art obviously featured in Rise of Legends as well, had a good story to tell here. They definitely want this victory because this means a lot in the group, probably playing for first place here.
Yeah, subbing Kramer back in is actually really big for these guys because NL played a lot for them recently. Yeah. And Kramer, they picked him up. Sword Art specifically picked him out of Challenger Korean solo queue. And they've been working very closely with him to try and iron out all the communication issues and stuff like that.
Yeah, just more proficient in terms of mechanics. That's also reflected in his champion pool. His most favorable champion is Vayne. That's what he likes playing here. So that may be needed to keep Double Lift in check. And overall, the tendencies of both these teams, very interesting how they, dragon focus, no dragon focus, top lane, Stake versus Iron Spartan. So many stories to tell, but first, let's head into Champ Select.
We are into Champ Select indeed, Crepo. As Counter Logic Gaming take to the draft against Flash Wolves. Blue versus red here as bans are going by quickly. Malphite Thresh for CLG as the Flash Wolves take away Mordekaiser.
Yeah, take out the very, very easy initiation tanky champion for the top lane. If you want your top laner to just absorb, then the Malphite is one of the best picks for that because you can have an instant impact with a teleport.
Even from behind, Malphite still plays relatively well because you always at least have that, as you said, that initiation, that power tool, that stuff that can get the fight going. If Maple and Karsa are already head from the early to mid game, then maybe that's all Stakes needs to provide. But generally speaking, against CLG, you will need more than that. You will need actually sustainable laning to get through that phase, or just be really good at lane swapping because CLG themselves, very good lane swapping team.
And the standard bans do continue as Gangplank banned away from Flash Wolves. Kalista, that blue side ban now, as Flash Wolves' final ban is Veigar for the first time in the tournament.
Fantastic ban in my opinion. I'm a big Veigar fan.
Well, the thing with the Veigar ban is they left up Lulu, who throughout the entire boot camp we were talking about, and Lulu's not going to get through any games.
Not so fantastic ban here from
You changed your tune, eh, Crepo? Yeah, the Lulu, and it's not only is it such a strong pick right now because of the way you can enable other champions, but it's the perfect pick for how they like to play with Poe Belter. They talked about it a bit on the analyst desk, how they don't like to give a lot of resources to Poe Belter. They give a lot of the 15 to 30 minutes CS to Double Lift instead. Poe Belter on Lulu would be a perfect fit for them.
Poe Belter gets so little resources, but does a lot with what he gets. He ranks very high in NA in terms of damage. He's ranked 4th there out of all mid laners. But in terms of what he does, in terms of farm share at that stages, he's maybe 14th, including all the sub mid laners coming in. So he barely gets any scraps, but he still performs and does a lot of damage in the fights.
Just to hammer home that point and that stat that they mentioned on the analyst desk, talking about giving a lot of stuff to Double Lift, he has the highest share for any single player here at Worlds of minions killed between 15 and 30 minutes. And that's normally the stage of the game where you get to decide, oh, this is an open lane, you get to have these.
Oh, stylistic tendencies. Back to Champs League. Flash shows, obviously, they react with Braum and Rex. Again, generic. You have to get Braum first rotation because Aframu is a fantastic Braum player. Even in playoffs, I think CLG was rating it as first pick worthy. Obviously, when Lulu's up, that shifts to second pick worthy because you really need to get that champion. Elise gets picked up too. Strongest jungle champion on this patch almost?
I'd say strongest dive combo that I've ever seen. Alistar plus Elise, either of them can tank turret. Even if they sort of mess up the dive, they've got a lot of diving potential here on CLG's draft side.
And to touch back on that Lulu, how she enables champions very well in this meta game where we have a lot of juggernauts or just, you know, very strong top laners that can carry fight. She also plays so well into them. Any Hex, slow, Diddlelands can kite them in, like, not allow them to kill them because Wild Growth comes in. Her value was really high coming into this patch. Now with the changes, it's even higher. So very interesting that Flash Wolves left that open.
And you mentioned Juggernaut, speeding them up. Darius has one weakness there, not able to get close enough to people to proc his Black Cleaver speed. Now they've got two options here, both the Jinx and the Darius. Poe Belter has plenty of work ahead of him.
Yeah, they have a wealth of CC on Counterlogic Gaming overall. They have double damage threats here with addition with Lulu, who has decent base damage. And most importantly, they have 2 resets. So Jinx can get sped up. If Darius gets a kill, he gets a reset. So those late game team fights are going to be absolutely brutal.
Yeah, okay, so we got really focused on CLG side because of the Lulu pick.
Yeah.
But for Flash Wolves side, their big star player is Maple in this mid lane. And he's on a champion on the AP Echo. This is going to be a full AP Echo. Didn't really get hurt as much by the tank Echo nerfs to him.
Yep.
So he's on a champion that can snowball. The assassin from the mid lane. We'll see if he can pressure Poe Belter at all and get to roaming and get to trying to affect the rest of the game. Karsa's going to try and be hand in hand with him on that Rek'Sai and get that duo ahead.
And that is, for me, the pivotal matchup here. Not Maple against Poe Belter, but Maple and Karsa against Poe Belter, because it's not Poe Belter and Xmiffy. He rarely gets ganks for him. He's very laid back in his approach to farming. Very often drops CS just to stay safely in lane because he has to, because the resources from CLG just go so much towards their side lanes. So that could be very interesting if Karsa can find an opening, kill Poe Belter once. That can maybe start snowballing, and then that can flow over into the side lane later on for the Flash Wolves.
And we've rounded things out with Nada as well. So again, sort of continuing the trend. Malphite banned away by CLG. Going to take a somewhat low econ top laner just to be effective in the big fights.
And I just love Braum Tristana. That is, if you know where the enemy jungler is, which Karsa should be able to find out since he has the more aggressive jungler, you can actually use those gap closers offensively. Tristana can jump in for the slow, Braum can follow up, put up the Unbreakable, and suddenly you can't kill the AD carry that just jumped on top of you. It's incredibly hard to deal with that with a low mobility AD carry like Jinx unless you get that kill for the reset. So, double lift and after
the old leapfrog technique there in the bottom lane.
And it's interesting as well, because that was a big champion for Doublelift, has been that Tristana. So he takes a Jinx here instead as a... Yeah, it's just kind of curious there as the analyst desk are calling this game for CLG, but of course, we want to hear your predictions instead. Send that hashtag CLG win or hashtag FW win to @LOL Esports, and we'll check out how the fans are voting.
All right, let's waste no time and jump right into the Rift here. CLG versus Flash Wolves. This is also going to be a really big game for this group because CLG and Flash Wolves consider to be fairly close here, battling to try and get one of the top spots.
Yep, so a pivotal first game here for both sides. The top seed from NA, CLG, will take to the Rift against the second LMS side here on Flash Wolves, but don't let that seeding placement fool you. This team is very good, and Maple, certainly the player to watch out for there.
Yeah, the team that will definitely be watching these games, obviously the Coup Tigers. They have the most threat coming out against them for potential domination in this group from CLG and to a second extent from Flash Wolves. So to get to see this match first is very beneficial for them.
We'll be playing next, of course, up against Pain, but we have this game to get to first as CLG is moving themselves pretty aggressively through the top left-hand side of the jungle, trying to get those wards down.
Yeah, we were looking at the stats earlier for lane swaps. Traditionally, in LMS, we don't really see that many lane swaps, but if you look at the gold values that Flash Wolves generate when they lane swap, they're actually a better lane swapping team. Comparable gains compared to CLG, but I feel like CLG does it in a tougher region because LMS isn't accustomed to lane swaps. Obviously, Flash Wolves, they get away with a lot of sketchy moves sometimes, whereas CLG, they're in a region that plays the Western lane swap, which in our opinion very often is credited as the better style. Whether you agree or not. CLG actually thrives and actually very often comes ahead in that lane swap, so this does end up being 2v1. It could be interesting.
Yeah, and here you see CLG waiting in the fog of war, not trying to give away any information until absolutely necessary. There it is, and they're going to see the bottom lane down bottom. So coming in here to try and check those Krugs. Flash Wolves are going to end up 2v2.
And now I can see Smithy.
Well, they're starting them very late here.
Yep, are going to team up. Those Stake and Casa actually, of course, double jungling, but we can see Sword Art and Kramer moved in, try to block them away. A little bit of experience there for CLG, but did not complete the camp.
Yeah, we just did a head count. We talked about champion diversity in top lane first. This is 9 different mid lane picks in 10 different games, with the only repeat actually being the Azir. So again, so many different champions coming out today.
Yeah, definitely unique champion's a big deal, but another big deal here is CLG. Yeah, they got the deep wards down and they got off the aggressive jungle start. Smithy with Zion Spartan were able to take away the red from Flash Wolves in the opening to this game for the lane swap. So CLG already off to a good start. Talked about the experience they have with lane swaps. They got so many advantages through the normal season, through lane swaps, getting not only double lift ahead, but also Zion Spartan CS advantage for the early game.
And that's actually really smart what they did. They moved in on the left side of the map where you traditionally see the map divided in half. Okay, we take the left side because we have this triple deep ward combo and we use that vision to secure at least 2 quadrants of the map. Then we do whatever we want. Standard Western lane swaps plays out. But CLG, they based. They faked that lane swap. Then they went back to say, okay, double lift and Aftermoon, you have to move into the dark, but you're smart enough, you're good enough to handle that. In addition to that, you have then that aggressive jungle start that you just pointed out. And suddenly, CLG find themselves ahead in terms of map pressure already before the game's even started.
Yeah, it's especially Double Lift and Aphromoo, who are the bottom lane, who are never afraid to go into any 2 versus 2 matchup, regardless of champion advantage or not, catching the Flash Wolves by surprise. Now, we talk about all these stylistic differences that we spent so long researching from these teams and collecting a lot of data on them. One of the biggest differences across regions was actually between these specific teams, Counter Logic Gaming and Flash Wolves, looking at where early game kills occurred within the first 15 minutes. CLG actually had the least of any team as far as kills around the bottom jungle, which is generally just around the dragon area. And signifies a lot of fights around that dragon area. Only 9.6% of their kills on that bottom side, whereas Flash Wolves were 24.5% of their kills down there, where CLG much more top lane focused in their lane swaps, where Double Lift and Aphromoo and Smithy were getting kills up there.
And obviously, Flash Wolves have done their research, as does CLG, so both know that these trends exist, both know that each other knows that the trend exists, so we may see some good old mind games here. Double Lift finally reaching level 2, and then Aphromoo may just kill heal here for some sustain, or get ready for a combo. We haven't seen him use heal yet. Just gonna check what he got. No?
Yeah, he's got plenty of sustain here, you know, with the relic as well as the option to level up heal. But no summoner or no spells necessary for him to level up yet. So
he hasn't skilled anything, so he can still go for WQ combo, or he can skill a heal if he needs to. That's actually very adaptive.
Yeah, what he's waiting for right now is for Doublelift to take a bad trade. If Doublelift got hit there, then level up the heal so he can get the most out of his AoE heal both of them.
Karsa.
He's behind, and Smithy going top here.
Yep, Smithy looking for that gank onto Stake here. Cocoon not quite there as the hop will get Nah out to safety.
Yeah, but look at the amount of range minions there. That wave is pushing away from Stake. That's going to be hard. He has the range advantage on Spartan, but obviously CLG is comfortably pushed in their bottom lane tower here. We see a repeat gank for Smithy.
Gonna go back in. Flash is good from Stake as he barely misses getting apprehended.
I was actually very surprised that Smithy didn't come again from the tri-brush, because he should have taken the information he got from the first gank, seeing the reaction time of Stake, and inferred that there was no ward in there already. Yet he came around from the jungle, didn't get any range on it this time. And yes, it is just a flash trade, but Smithy stayed up there quite a while.
Well, this looks really good for CLG. It does nullify some of the advantage that CLG had. They had more jungle camps available to them due to the level 1 start, but Flash was kind of neutralized that by sending their jungle into the enemy jungle. That is what Stake does, right? He absorbs. We often joke around it, but he is literally left alone on an island, and then the remaining part of the map has to be won by the Flash Wolves 4 against 4.
Yeah, again though, so much focus from Smithy. He's going back a third time to pressure top, and they are really trying to earn Zion a lead. He's not on the ward, because you just go up the send here by the river. They know he doesn't have flash. Smithy should get close for this one first.
Stake certainly hasn't seen him. Cocoon will land. Apprehend. He's going to follow through. Stake just enough to hop away.
Bounce.
And no summoners left to follow.
That's 3 ganks in under 5 minutes. Minions spawn and meet at 2 minutes, so that's 1 gank per minute coming at Stake.
Smithy, dismiss your spiders. They want the wave to be frozen there in front of Zion Spartan, so dismissing those spiders and getting them over to attack quicker.
See a roam from Maple coming out. This is Flash was like doing, but Doublelift and Afro are getting caught here.
Yeah, good game sense, actually. Yeah. Maybe a call from Pobelter. You never know what's going on in the comms. Could have been a call, could have been game sense, but any time they back up like that, Maple actually has to go right back to mid lane so he doesn't lose out on too many minions. Karsa did have a pretty good recovery, by the way. You mentioned going for that counter jungle, seeing Smithy up top. At least the Flash Wolves were able to get Karsa back on track at the expense of Stake. Yes, there is a huge CS discrepancy, but Karsa was able to get his red at least, or steal the red.
Might look to have a gank in the mid lane here as Maple having a bit of trouble here against Lulu. Good glitter lance there from Pobelter.
But yeah, that roam cost him tempo and pressure, and now Pobelter, he can just push out that lane. He's still on a lot of resources here, so if Maple is down, Karsa, we praised him for his jungling and his aggressive jungle, but he really hasn't found an opening just yet because CLG made his path very predictable. Because Zion was spending so much time in the top lane where he started, it kind of forced Maple to take that path from top right to bottom right, and then base, and then try and help Stake somehow. So he's trying to stay afloat, but he's not really finding any openings right now.
Yeah, one of the best parts of CLG's early game and of their lane swaps is how they disseminate as little information as possible in the early game. And it keeps Flash Wolves guessing for the early stages and makes you have to react very quickly as a jungler, make very quick decisions. Now, after so much pressure top, looks like Karsa's going to even the odds.
I mean, Zion Spartan did use his flash earlier, so it kind of has to work almost, because look at that CS discrepancy right there. 26 to 47. Zion Spartan doubling Stake's farm already.
And Karsa is looking for something here, but he hasn't quite picked the angles. Zion Spartan is a little far forward in the lane. Ulti's ready for Stake. He's going to go in for it. Karsa finds a knock-up. Good wall up there as well. Can they combo it all the way? There's the ulti out from Nah. And a wonderful CC chain is maybe just going to get first blood. Yes, it is. Karsa takes it.
Poor Stake. He gets ganked 3 times on a no-flash target. Doesn't even get the kill. He's going as well. I'm going to flash, take that gold, and bring it to bot lane, guys.
Hey, Karsa earned that money. He came back after Stake had blown so much, and CLG had spent everything trying to keep him down. Flash Wolves get the first blood. They're ahead in gold now.
That almost has to be an error in communication, though. Like a flashless target stuck in the brush, zoned by 2 guys. You don't want to use your flash aggressively there if you're Karsa, especially when you can get Stake rolling and give him a kill. So hopefully he can stop bleeding out CS in the top lane. But let's see what Karsa does with this. Perhaps he just has a really aggressive Rek'Sai build plan to start becoming a split pusher later.
I never sympathize with top laners, I'm sorry. I'm glad you're here to tell their story.
Tell who the jungler of the group is, as Casa does take his red buff. No, head back home to spend that juicy first blood money. Po Belter hanging out in mid lane, got his chalice already going. His bottom side now double lift. BF sword up, but Tristana does have the same as Po Belter. Gonna get himself the blue buff.
Oh, we saw some aggression in the top lane. Look at the deep vision Flash Wolves have acquired in CLG's red jungle. Those are triple ward, very deep here. Afro getting zoned out, pink ward getting cleared. Both AD carries have a BF sword, so things can get explosive very quickly, especially with the deep vision they have acquired.
That's Smithy now going to clear out the scuttle crop. Casa wants to fight him for it.
So, yeah, Karsa was underground, didn't see the low health crab there, or else he would have shot the Prey Seeker and stolen it. The one small disadvantage there of Rek'Sai. Yes, you get your tremor sense, but can't see the crab scuttling away, and free gold goes down the drain.
With a lot of gold as well. Oldrift Scuttler as ex-Smithy will clear this Raptor camp out for himself. He's level 6, actually, going for that Rune Glaive, the item we've seen so many times out of Elise, ever since sort of the changes moved through, as Maple gonna get his blue buff now as well. A very generous donation from Casa.
So Stake's happy to see this because he knows exactly where Smithy is. He got an assist. He's playing as Darius, so he can use his range advantage, and he's closing the gap in CS, or at least keeping the absolute number even. So as time goes on, relatively becomes a lot easier to deal with. CLG pushed in the bottom too, so Flash Wolves are playing with a lot of information.
Yeah, it was actually, that's so smart for Flash Wolves when Smithy's obviously camping up top and Stake is spending that time, you know, trying to evade all of these attacks.
Absorbing.
Yeah, and he did it well. He was able to evade all of the ganks, but they spent it wisely. Yes, they counter jungle. They were able to take away the red buff. They got deep vision down, which they can now use to take this dragon. They can see any sort of approach from CLG, and Karsa's going to be able to get an objective for his team as well.
Yeah, Maple's zoning mid lane away with Fog of War because he hides in that burst, so Po Belter can't face check because Double Lift and Aftermoon have been continuously pushed in the bot lane. In combination with that deep vision, again, it gives the entire bot lane bottom jungle two Flash Wolves in both pressure and vision that manifests in a dragon, which they love doing that. So it doesn't seem they're changing up their playstyle, their trends. They want to go for those early 5 dragons.
It's a smart little play there to get the dragon as Maple goes in. Smithy forced to repel up, but Po Belter is here in reserve. The Cocoon will lank. Little Ents is good. Damage not going to be followed in.
Yeah, you have to be very careful about fully committing to that kill on Echo, obviously because of the ult, and he could burst the Smithy down afterwards. So just trying to chuck him out and then retreat. Po Belter able to pull off the evacuation.
Done a good job in this lane as well. 10 CS ahead there, and Double Lift also having a good game. 25 CS ahead because the Afro zoning Kramer away. The rocket jump cancelled as Double Lift is going to look for the zap, and the flash will get forced out.
Good punish on the roam right there. They see Sword Art, leave the lane, immediately go aggressive, and they get a summoner for their troubles.
Also hard to land that combo. Alistair's W got slowed down. Many very proficient supports do fail that. Okay, I'm joking. I'm the only one.
Prepo.
No, but yeah, good cancel there. Kramer had more time to flash, get out of there, but yeah, decides to use a jump. Very risky. Has to burn his flash.
And in general, the pressure starting to mount here for CLG. There's not much of a gold lead here, only 300 or 200 up for CLG, but they're continuing to push their lanes and apply pressure. Smithy's found himself on top of a ward.
His sweeper is off cooldown as well, and he has a pink ward in inventory here.
Casa will be able to dodge it as a result. Zion Spartan, though, so I'm proxying earlier on, going to try and take the big Krug here as well. So much topside pressure.
Yeah, but look at Po Belter. He's moving in as well. He's just adding more aggression to that 2v2. I think they're already stronger here. Zion Spartan and Smithy against Stake and Karsa, but then with the potential roam from Po Belter, just so much pressure, so much zoning, and again, Stake's forced to max range CS, so no pressure at all coming out of him.
Honestly, though, all props to Stake, because obviously it's a combination of Stake being able to avoid the ganks, but also
he's gotten really good at that.
And also Smithy, not optimally pulling them off, but he's done very well for himself up here, only being down 15 or so. And here comes Karsa once again. He does have flash, but so does Zion. So
I mean, they saw each other in the jungle earlier, so they can obviously deduce. But Karsa is a very patient jungler. Let's see if he runs into Smithy. Flash Wolves do cover their grounds. They don't go for any plays that have the risk of getting backfired, of getting roamed upon here. Karsa going for, again, deep vision. They really value that deep vision this game.
Yeah, the big difference here between Karsa getting that first blood and Smithy spending so much time trying to gank top is that Karsa got the Sight Stone to work with really early, so he's getting the deep vision, and he's looking for the tower dive.
Yeah, they're going in for it as well. Zion Spartan flashes out of the Unburrow, though. Gets out with style.
that probably was the reason we saw Cars and Flasher get that early sight and get the vision, say, well, I'll find a jungle for you at the other side of the map, Stake. You hang on there. We always joke around about how Stake always gets ganked, but he did a fantastic job surviving.
We have to watch the repercussions after this as well. I mean, Zion's got no flash. They didn't burn flashes to get that out of him either, so very dangerous. Zion intelligently backing off here, and he's going to leave that turret, even though there's a wave up there, and that's not what he would like to do.
Yeah, Sorted has roamed a little bit too much, so that bottom lane tower, you can't leave Jinx alone with a tower without any threat there for too long, because she'll get it. And once CLG opens up one tower, they are incredibly proficient at playing the map and start moving these resources around. So Flash will definitely want to avoid that tower from falling, for as long as they can get one return gank on Zion Spartan. Kill him once, then you're okay trading towers, because then you can start speeding up the game, and Stake's fine in the game again.
Yeah, I do like this pink ward that they've placed at the their own tri-bush here, because it will stay alive the entire time.
Oh!
Afromu goes in for the flash combo. All Rocket Jump was already off, though. And Kramer does escape.
Yeah, just got the mini stun there, but it wasn't quite enough to get a kill. CLG, though, will get a tower in bottom lane, so starting to chug ahead a little bit more in gold now, about 1,400 up in this game.
CLG take a tower here, and 1 minute, 50 seconds to Dragon. Let's see how Flash Rules are going to approach this next minute. Are they actually going to contest that? They're going to do their signature playstyle where they really want to fight for these Dragons, get these kills. They have some good skirmishing available, and obviously they have a really good team fighting support in that Braum.
Yeah, plus, Stake has actually been able to complete his Black Cleaver already on the Gnar, so he's ready to join the team fight if he can build up his Rage Bar.
Yeah, but it is tricky though. Black Cleaver is a very split push oriented build here on that Gnar. Obviously, he can't soak much damage. He can melt immediately. He can get kited incredibly easy in this team fight, so we'll need to see a really, really good teleport from him. Other than that, Flash Wolves are probably better off split pushing with him.
See, he is doing just that right now. Stake looking to apply some pressure as Zion does walk his way back to the top lane with that Phage. Stake will now go back. It seems like Flash Rules with a minute left are going to start setting up for Dragon number 2 for them. But CLG trying to play aggressive in the bottom side and protect the area as Sword Art. Going to get the Winter's Bite down, fighting over Pink Wards. They'll all go down.
Yeah, Maple showing himself, though, means you can't commit to that fight, and you'll let him get away with it.
Vuelta returns to the mid lane. Blue buff nice and fresh there out of his own jungle.
I do like the swap here from Flash Wolf, sending Tristana mid to wave clear and having Echo down bottom, letting Maple get some extra CS there with the turret down. Gonna have to be very careful about it, though.
Yeah, we haven't seen that too much in the summer split because it was mostly control mages, and they thrive obviously in the mid lane, controlling the mid lane. But if you go back to earlier when assassins were very, very meta, that's what they did. You know, you start laning the first 15 minutes, but then you put that assassin in the side lane, he becomes another split push fed, and you can really start, you know, pulling CLG's members apart. Don't let them team fight. Force them into the 1v1s, 2v2s, 1v1 on top lane, spread them out. And then if you have a good aggressive jungler, you can really exploit that, especially with the way Flash was out been warding.
Can see some pressure now for CLG. Trying to open up the map a bit. Dragon is back, but Poe Belter and Xmithy as Cocoon will land. Damage is good there with the AP out of the Rune Glaive, but CLG can't quite knock the turret down yet.
And now that the laning phase has kind of ended and people are moving around the map a lot more, this is where Flash Moves has failed in the past when they started Kramer, because there were communication issues. Stake for a 1v1 here on Zion Spartan.
Yep, Zion does get slowed though. Stake and now follow it in. Have to be careful, like you mentioned already. Darius is very easy to kite. As CLG are going to look around, try and get aggressive. They do really want to open up the map so they can secure that dragon, but the vision battle is the big one here.
Yep, this time it's Sword Out who goes in deep, and he's placed an extra ward behind to see anyone coming, gets inside of the queue.
Oh, ulti out though from Stake. Zion's going to get stunned up. Glacial Fissure out as well, and it's so much CC as Sword Out collects it.
More revenge for Stake here. He's got a team as well. He paid his dues. He soaked all the early ganks, and now everyone's coming up to help gank Zion.
We started talking about these stylistic differences. One team very oriented on top lane, getting those skills there, and one team very oriented around that vision control and dragon. But this game completely swapped around for that second dragon there. CLG's lineup is incredibly strong if they get vision control, because it's so hard to face check into them, especially when you play like these assassins and skirmishers. So Flash was with a good read on the game to send their support top lane again for the CC combo dive.
Yeah, the front line doing well is actually really important too, because both of these teams have reset AD carries. So the team fights are going to be very snowball-y when one member of the front line does go down.
Well, you can see Flash Wolves did get the kill, but did lose a dragon as CLG were able to collect their first. Infinity Edge, though, now completed for Doublelift. Had the Everest Blade ticking away, but it is a big burst in power for the CLG AD carry. Now Flash Wolves going to keep themselves moving down. They're going to group up and try and knock down a turret. It's one apiece so far, but they might be able to take the early turret
This
lead.
is where I really like Braum as well for sieging, because you can see there, he blocks so much of the wave clear. Now they're going to go aggressive on Afro, and they actually get his ultimate out.
Yeah, they popped it, but they can't follow in. Doublelift does get a slow. Will CLG look for the re-engage? Zion holds onto his port. They'll save it for now.
Yeah, that was an incredibly good Unbreakable there from Sword Art, just stopping that wave clear here. Steak, don't fail to hop.
Oh, he's got to pick the right spot. Does find it as Zion's roaming down, but he's spotted by a ward. Now CLG's turn to group in mid and try and knock down a turret, but the W out there from Maple going to get a bit aggressive onto Xmithy to follow it in. Afromu, he's dived straight through there as the repel has been used. Xmithy forced to flash out. The chompers are good.
This is a bad fight for CLG. Steak goes in.
Scoops them. Zion's Spartan, though, not enough as Afro. No, ulti has to back away from the fight as well, and it's just Chaos, the ulti blocked by Casa.
That was a very, very bold re-engage from Steak. Yeah, they used a lot of cooldowns, but it was so hard. He was so far in front of his team, and he's not that tanky yet. Remember, he's building Black Cleaver.
Yeah, he was trying to throw the reset over to Kramer because they knew Afromu didn't have his ultimate steal. Now Zion has to use his flash defensively as well, and Steak comes back in with the teleport.
I'm really liking Suarez's Braum play here overall, just the way he's positioning in these fights. Earlier, when his teammates got caught, he soaked up a lot of damage there. If he wasn't in place with that Unbreakable, that could have been multiple resets and the tower for CLG, so keep your eyes on Sword Art in these fights.
Yeah, the number one thing I look for with good Braum play is offensive use of the Unbreakable, trying to get it up very early to get your team in front and get good positioning, because then it'll come off cooldown later.
Well, Smithy is going to recall himself as we had a lot of tension in that mid lane. Flash Wolves do still find themselves up 2-1, but you can kind of tell it's only 2 kills. These teams are getting itchy to really fight each other and start a brawl.
Yeah, CLG's pink wards on the map have really been lacking. That's why we see 3 of them in their inventory. Hopefully they can place them and start using them for vision control. They lost the vision control they had acquired earlier on that dragon. Flash Wolves moved in, took that away. They have some good defensive pink wards of their own, so honestly, quite impressed with the vision both teams have been bringing here to the table this match.
You can see CLG have swapped their duo lane to the top lane as well. Again, trying to equalize the tower. That one's almost a gimme as Doublelift takes it out and gets excited.
And look how Flash Wolves are distributing their resources. Swordheart is backing up Steak. They said, Steak, you're no longer playing on Island. You've done your job. You got us here. Now you can carry.
Hey, Kramer helped also.
Yeah.
I mean, Karsa.
Yeah. Karsa, everybody's helping Steak. Everybody takes turns helping Steak against Zion Spartan.
Well, Zion actually slightly down in CS. They've done a great job getting him back into this game. You can see, oh, better as Kramer. Gonna go straight in for it. Pobelta does have the charge on top, but he's popped his wild growth already. Maybe gonna go for the re-engage, but
yeah,
Kramer's
CLG collapsing first here.
That's a mind game by Kramer. Nobody would dare jumping in there alone without backup there for Pobelta respects him. I think if Pobelta fought him and the Jinx could come in, Kramer was probably just, dead, but obviously you have to respect the potential backup there unless you have perfect vision.
Hey, he was able to get the Lulu ultimate out of Pobelter for this fight if there is an engage here.
And this long siege causing problems, it seems, for CLG. They're trying to equalize these turrets, but the Flash Wolves are there against Steak. Threatening now with the rage building up. The slow does land off the boomerang. Good repel gets him out.
And if you look at the teleports as well, Steak no teleport, Zion Spartan has it. This is why Flash Wolves are grouping. They don't want to get into a situation where Steak 1v1 Spartan, but he gets the flank off. So as long as this teleport's on cooldown, we're going to see more grouping from the Flash Wolves.
Yeah, it's a really smart move also to try and get that deep vision in, preempting any sort of Baron here and trying to keep away the blue buff from Pobelter.
Good steal as a result there as well for Maple. He does collect it. Dragon up in a minute here. Baron is alive. Both teams with fairly good Baron damage, so is a consideration in the next few minutes. And they're only getting stronger. It's been a fairly close game, honestly. 200 gold ahead, if that, up for the Flashers of CLG. Are going to finally get the mid lane turret.
They keep on knocking, and they're finally able to take this one down. Zion also has been able to shove the wave all the way to the turret. So CLG trying to pressure 2 points at once. They're able to complete their objective. And they not only take the turret, but also destroy a cannon to the minion. Turret.
Taking advantage of that teleport advantage.
Destroy a lot of things.
As well.
Overall here, Flash Wolves have to move here to stop Zion Spartan. And then I think this is a phase where CLG is traditionally very strong once those 3 inner turrets fall off, because they're really smart when it comes to getting just a couple deep wards and start rotating around the map. We'll have to see how well Flash Wolves have adapted to that. how much practice they had against good rotating teams, because they play in, some call it underrated region, some call it just a weaker region, debatable, but CLG have a lot of experience in this exact situation where the early 3 towers falls, and that's why they get a lot of leads overall in the LCS.
Yeah, for the LMS, Flash Wolves do have longer than average games as well. So they have also had experience in the longer ones. We'll see if the mid game here tells a different story. No kills so far for CLG in the entire game.
So yeah, we see some items completed. We have Face and Amount completed here on After Move. That means he's going to be building Zeke's next. And if he gets that again, we've talked about it before, how strong that item is on Double Lift. We have essentially a Jugger Jinx composition that you're running here with Zeke's combined, that Double Lift will be able to solo carry this game if it goes late. Talk 40 minutes, 45 minutes into the game.
And Dragon gets taken by Flash Wolves on the other side. CLG cannot use those big items to try and force a fight. Strong objective control there from the Flash Wolves to collect their second. And it's been a real battle between these two teams. The gold lead has sprung back and forth in very small increments. And so, like we've sort of been hinting at, feels like we're building up to a very bloody and explosive mid-game.
We just see very mirrored item builds. Support's building the same thing, top lane's building the same thing. The only thing different here is the mid lane. CLG, a little early on that Baron.
Yeah, unfortunate ward there. The nooks and crannies of the Baron pit.
Gotta sweep that. Gotta place that pink ward slightly more forward. That is very close, but sadly not seen.
Double Ifs and F are going to go back. Double If sees some farm, does want to collect it, as he wants to do. Kramer again goes aggressive. Good cocoon, though, going to keep himself safe. But this Tristana, very itchy trigger fingers on that rocket jump.
This time you can see the rest of the team, though.
Yeah. Not as good a bluff then, perhaps, as Flash Wolves aren't done. They're going to shove down mid here.
Yeah, speaking of bluffs, though, CLG, they're actually continuing to shove up top with Double Lift and Afro, but keeping pressure while just using wave clear of the Lulu in the mid lane. Meanwhile, Zion's looking for his 1v1 now.
Obviously, Flash Wolves, they're afraid to really commit to that tier 1 tower. Yeah, they could potentially use Unbreakable to block Pobelter's wave clear, but they have no idea of how many people can be in that river, because that's completely pink warded. That one ward sees the Baron pit, but that's all it sees, a Baron. So no vision in the river at all for Flash Wolves. And CLG, they will soon deduce that there is a ward in the pit, because you could see it immediately once Flash Wolves reacted. CLG stopped that Baron. They're going at it again, though. Ward spots it.
Well, it has started, but they haven't seen the ward just yet. They are going to maybe just try and zerg it down. You can see a pause, actually. Mildly awkward time, but...
Well, it gives us more time to talk about the game.
Certainly does. And a good Baron call, honestly, from CLG, but that ward may come to bite them.
No, under the assumption that there is no ward in Pitchwood is incredibly likely for CLG. That is a very unfortunate angle here on that ward. It is a fantastic call, because Flash Wolves have to react immediately. And they,
yeah, or else you get it.
Yeah, and in their minds, if that area is dark, they're so scared to face check too, because CLG could very well just be baiting you into that composition you really don't want to run into. So, good call by CLG. Unfortunate for them, there is a ward in the pit, so Flash was working here with my perfect information.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a look at the team fight then, because we may be seeing an actual 5v5 fairly soon here, and how it will play out. Maple has completed the key item for Echo there on top of his Morellos. He now has the Zhonya's as well, which makes the AP Echo so much more viable. If you can get your ultimate off 4 damage, with which Zhonya's enables, it's a huge, huge swing in his power. And they're trying to combo the AoEs here from Stake as well as Maple, with the initiation from Stake trying to chain it with Maple's own stun as well as the ultimate, and use that to get Kramer his resets.
I just got note from production too. This is actually a pause not made by any of the teams. This is actually our guys checking on the legality of that ward, just checking how that vision works out, just to make sure that there's nothing fishy going on. That's why we're checking that out. So hopefully, once that resolves, we can get back into the game. But so far, a lot more even game, honestly, than I had expected. I have pitched CLG first in this group, and like perhaps even slightly underrated Flash Wolves, because they've really showed up. Stake.
I think underrated Stake. A lot of people have.
It was almost a meme, let's face it. Like, Snake, he's on the top lane, he's going to feed, food jokes coming out of the analyst desk. He gets 3 ganks against him in the first 3 minutes of actual gameplay. From 2 to 5 minutes, 3 ganks against him. It only takes Karsa to come back once to punish that burnt flash on Zion Spartan, and kill goes to Snake.
I do have to say, CLG could have played those games better as well. So it is 2-part. Yeah, Stake does deserve credit, but also CLG could have played those better.
And it's so funny as well, because you look at the game now, you can see the score about 25 minutes into the game, so fairly far through it all. And those two assists are the only 2 kills in this game. So it's all been Stake, and that's just been a lot of positioning.
I mean, it means a lot for this game because there's a distinct possibility where Stake, if he doesn't get that assist on that kill, completely alters his build path. If he falls behind and his Black Cleaver is too slow to match the tempo to the game, he very may have well built full tank, giving Zion Spartan so much more split push pressure, and then we could have seen an entirely different game. So couple details, couple slight misplays or plays differently can really shape the early to mid game.
Certainly can. As you can see Stake there on your screen. That absolutely wild hair of his, looking good under his headset.
Yeah, another effect also to continue on your point that it is going to have is in these team fights. Doublelift is the #1 most important person on CLG. Powelter has to. We talked about.
You act like that's something new.
Well,
Doublelift is the most important player on CLG.
Hold on, you were like, oh yeah, they focus on top lane so much. They're gonna try and get Zion ahead. There's Zion. There, boost Zion strategy.
Yeah, true.
Did not work out.
Secondary in rank though, if you look at farm share. Zion Spartan gets a lot because Powelter gets a little, but it is Doublelift.
Yeah. Hey, I was the one to drop the 33%.
You got the knowledge.
Anyway, it just re-emphasizes that this is the Jinx composition, and you need to get, and it puts a lot more pressure on Doublelift to be able to evade the AoE from Stake, from Maple.
Just Maple
in that team fight.
Maple is going to be so hard to deal with because you can throw your traps out, but if you zone him out once, he can always come back with the ulti, and he only needs a couple of spells to one-shot you because AP mid Echo now that the scaling has been just upped on that AP damage, less base damage. Does a lot of damage.
Afro has been a good bodyguard for Doublelift for a very long time, so he'll be looking for him to get some good headbutts in.
Flash Wolves learned from CLG's mistake. They placed the pink ward even deeper in the pit. They really want to see everything going on here. But yeah, the Dragon Dance has slowly been replaced by a Baron Dance. Yeah, on edge here in this game.
It is, and as we pop back in, it's really been Flash Wolves just coming back and cleaning all the vision out of that Baron area that CLG have put down. So we will have a bit of a reset here as far as warding and positioning goes. Kramer even going to go back and buy himself his next item. Might look for a lifesteal item here, might just want the Last Whisper as a bit of future proofing. But so many strong carries, and now tanks as well actually on either side. Stake just finished that Randuin's Omen.
I actually wonder what Doublelift's going to build here, if he's going to go for the early Last Whisper for damage efficiency, or if he just values his just being able to stay alive in this fight a little more. Bloodthirster is a distinct possibility coming out here. He needs at least some lifesteal here to really even make that health that he gets from Blue even more valuable, because he stays alive, regens up again, and it's becoming increasingly harder to kill him, because if he stays alive, he's really the driving force for CLG in these teamfights.
Well, Doublelift going to answer your question. Crepo, it is the Last Whisper. Actually had a lot of money banked up. So able to take that away. Even Pobelter with an extra needlessly large rod, as these teams have gone from 2 items to 2.5 or more very swiftly. Deadman's Plate also completed for Zion. So both teams still scaling up.
Yeah, so Doublelift has a lot of faith in the face of the Mountain Shield coming out of Aframu, and then just the shields coming out of Pobelter here. Hopefully, his faith is rewarded.
Well, if he's the most important member of CLG, I hope his team can protect him. Nice dodge. Doublelift out of that Winter's Bite. He's going in. This is full-on Jugger Jinx mode as he's just firing away.
All right, let's see how this push for vision does work. CLG right now, what they're trying to do is up their ward line. And Doublelift gets some crits on Sword Art.
Oh, doesn't get the snipe though. Zap will get dodged as that Glacial Fissure was burned.
Yep, Sword Art's got to be very careful. Everybody's watching for the rocket to come through here. And that is Doublelift keeps it.
That is so big in terms of tempo. Not only does Sword Art has to expend his flash and ultimate, he also has to base. That is one of your main warders, since there's a side zone on Skarsa, but he can't really aggressively move in here. So CLG have retaken complete control. And they learned from their mistake. They're getting vision even deeper into the enemy jungle, and now Flash Wolves have to face a set of brushes. Powelter going in.
Yep, flash out from Pobelter as Zion gonna go in, but Stake looks for the scoop. He gets 2, but Doublelift gonna keep firing. Afro headbutt Stake out, but that might actually be the best spot. Maple gonna get stunned up by a Cocoon as again these fights so close to starting.
Oh, they're looking for a re-engage here. Oh, nice slow there to take the Deadman's Plate bonus movement speed off of Zion Spartan.
CLG might just look for a siege instead. Doublelift very far forward. Gonna fire into that turret. Afro looking for a dive. Maple out with the slow though as Afro gets stunned by Braum. Double still firing as Afro's forced to pop that ulti. And he's going absolutely nuts.
Sword Art was able to keep the turret upright though. But
oh my god, the crit! Doublelift gets the first kill, but he does get taken out here. And now Flash Wolves will keep fighting. Maple managed to scoop in as the dual lane is dead from CLG.
Paid for that crit with his life.
He's like, guys, I got the Oh, I'm dead.
He was excited, yes, but nowhere to go from there. That does mean that Flash Wolves will have priority on Dragon here. They've got the vision, and they have their jungler as well.
Should have bought a Bloodthirster.
Oh, come on.
No, this is 2020 hindsight. Overall, yeah, good re-engaging from Flash Wolves. They're really good at going into the fights and going backwards.
Face the Mountain still on cooldown, bud.
Yeah, he had faith, but it wasn't there. He actually has heals still available too, so let's watch that again here.
Right.
Tower almost going down here, so let's see. Maple gets caught. Combo lands, but Maple with that Zonias and that ulti, so much zone. You really don't want to stack on top of him, and Kramer is dealing a lot of damage to Afro.
All right, so let's take a look at this here from Double Lift. Yeah, they were able to save the turret. Here comes his crit. He got one, and the ultimate was channeled, but Maple just blows him up. Yeah.
He also tanks the ulti and then uses his own ultimate to get out of there, so Maple takes one for the team. 2-for-1 trade there from for Flash Wolves.
There's a reason that Maple's so talked about. Oh, here we go. Karsa's going to have to get out. Yeah, he went for the second item, Titanic Hydra here, which is... people have a lot of differing views on it right now. I'm not quite as big a fan, but on Rek'Sai it does feel pretty good, just because the reset actually works very cleanly with her. Some champions it works better than others.
But yeah, this is turning Karsa into, he starts off as a tank, but he's becoming more of a damage threat. And suddenly, if you look at Flash Wolves, whereas initially we looked at, Stake and Karsa are going to get very, very tanky. Both of them are becoming damage threats. So we see 4 carries emerge in front of Flash Wolves. It's going to be hard to play against for CLG.
That is true. He does sacrifice a lot of tankiness. Yeah. He hasn't built any armor with this build.
No Aegis yet.
And Double Lift can just rip through that health. This is very easy, even though you have a lot of health. It just makes any little bit of armor that you would buy on top of that even more efficient.
Yeah, and look at Sword Art. He's actually starting to build an Aegis, so he has the burden of the Aegis, so he can never even get Zeke. So later on, Kramer may run into some damage problems really later in the fight, because if Afro goes for that item, obviously big damage swings in terms of 80 carries, and at one point they will 1v1 each other in the fight.
Yeah, and just to note, in that last replay, Flash Wolves did get their 3rd Dragon as well, so that's starting to mount up as a win condition for the team. 31.5 minutes in almost, and once again, Dragon is down. We are back to dancing around the Baron, but neither team has managed to find an edge yet.
But yeah, CLG did the right thing with that Baron pit. It is not enough to have only vision around the Baron pit. You really want it deeper into the jungle so you can force basically multiple layers of face check. People have to be afraid to face check 4 brushes in a row, because if they take the hesitant path and face check them slowly one by one, that's the time it takes for you to take Baron. And then obviously it becomes incredibly hard to play against that. So that's what CLG wants to get right now, and Flash Wolves, they want to stop that from happening.
And Karsa actually burns the ulti to make sure that happens as well. Afro trying to peek around for a player's Double Lift will shove out the top turret. But Stake is ready with that TP. Have to be careful.
Both top laners are ready.
Oh, Karsa swips in there into X-Smithy. Stun will land there. The damage is out, but the Chompers will zone them away. Maple looking to dive in, goes aggro onto Double Lift, finds himself the stun. Zion off the other side does go down to Karsa, and now they're going to swoop in onto Afro. No ulti left for the Alistar, as he will die as well.
Yeah, because Double Lift was stunned there by Maple, that bot Flash was the time to tear through the front line, get 2 kills, and I was going to get incredibly hard for CLG to stop this Baron.
That was a huge pick right there. Karsa going in onto Smithy and chunking him low. It meant that they could collapse on the teleport from Zion, and it looks like they're going to grab Baron here.
Double Lift maybe look for a steal here with the ultimate, but that's about all he can. Doesn't land it. Kramer able to secure it, and the Flash Wolves finally get the first big lead in this game.
Yeah, Maple doing exactly what is expected of an assassin. Come in at the flank, keep them busy. Either you kill somebody 1-for-1, or you keep multiple members busy and you back out. This is what Echo is so fantastically good at in the mid lane. He goes in, has Zonia's pops ulti back out, and in that time frame, Zion Spartan melted, and after move, yeah, he was caught with a break. With his ultimate, he's still gonna go down.
The coordination there on Flash Wolves definitely superior here. So there goes Karsa, able to get Smithy, and they burn him down so much. There's really no threat here, and they can easily collapse. As you said, Maple locks up the entire back line and then just ults out.
Yep, this is peace. Like you mentioned, Afro, ulti or not, isn't going to leave through all that many members. So the question now, what can Flash Wolves do with this lead? It's not that massive goal buys, but Baron is a huge objective for momentum and really trying to snowball the game.
I mean, CLG, when they're defending their towers, they're not going to be stuck in choke points like they were. This probably was one of the worst fights spots to fight rather for CLG because the way Flash Wolves came in, Karsa came in from a flank over a wall, Maple came in from that same flank in a choke point. Then your parallel convergence is just so good at zoning. Either they walk into it and get stunned, or they can't even enter the fight. So really good team fight here by Flash Wolves.
Yeah, CLG cannot afford for one of their backline members to get flanked again.
See Flash Wolves starting to again press their advantage a bit more. They've got Dragons coming up. We have number 4 for the team back in a minute 20. The Flash Wolves, though, going to just shove down mid lane any way they can.
And Stake ended his hunger strike. As Yamato Cannon said it, he now finished Thornmail, so he starts off as this split pusher DPS, but then he becomes an unkillable tank, and again, he's like hybrid damage threat and tank, but it's incredibly hard to focus him down with that Thornmail. 1 tower falls, 2 towers fall, combo comes in.
Yeah, Afro looking for it, but he gets stunned up. The tower will fall. Ulti up from Braum's going to zone them away. Caster going to try and dive back in, but Zion able to keep them out. Maple can't quite find his way through, but they're just going to keep going. Flash Wolves, it's all brute force right now.
Double F trying to chase them off.
Look at that ghost railing though. Maple's ready to go back in.
Yeah, Double wants it. Does get the slow into Sword Art. Kramer going to take the Raptors on the exit out here. They know Dragon's up soon. They want to be in position for it.
Ooh, Maple might ultimate use his Echo ultimate to come
Let's
down
do
here.
it.
So they've used not only his ultimate, but also the Rek'Sai ultimate. Everybody keeping up the siege, and Zion,
Yeah.
the turn's going down.
Caught out now. Zion actually just dead as the turret falls as well. No, he will live for just a bit longer, but the Baron up minions will select it. Now Maple pumps us on,
Ulti.
dodging that cocoon. Sword Art on the backline. He's going to die. Double Lift is firing away. Stake is low now off to the side as he's forced to flash. Pobelta snipes in with a glitter lance just off the edge. And CLG, they'll keep running. Pobelta does get it again. Picks up the double.
Scratch that. Pobelta, most important player on CLG here. He's able to get the double kill for themselves, and Double Lift thinking about face checking, able to get the choppers down first.
If those traps were any farther in that burst, they would have connected here on Crib. Good move by CLG. They thwart the pressure. They realized, or perhaps not even realized, that the ulti was used on Echo, and that honestly was a very greedy move here by Maple because he really needed that ulti to get back out of the fight. Once CLG gets 1 kill, the resets come in. Pobelta picks up 2, and most importantly, they get the dragon.
Yep, denying that 4th dragon and kind of relinquishing the threat of the 5th for a bit longer is important here for CLG, but it has been a scrappy game as we are going to have a replay.
All right, so here goes the tower dive. It actually had only 2 hits left on it for Kramer there. He's able to take it out. So much used on Zion, though. Maple went all in. There's the exhaust.
Exhaust comes out. Maple, he's now stuck, so he has to get out. He can't even go aggressively anymore. Stake has to disengage. And in this position, Flash Wolves have a very hard time winning the fight. If Maple had ulti, yeah, he could zone, but Double Lift, so much damage. Pobelta flashes aggressively. Right. Target the Krugs on your way out, and good move. We see Karsa here.
Yeah.
Who's fighting who?
I don't know. Ulti is not going to connect. Sword Art blocks it. Caster flashes. Does not want to get caught. CLG almost find themselves a pick. Double Lift starting to get crazy strong.
Yeah, Afromu actually gave him a little bump over closer to safety there. Unfortunate.
It's really hard nowadays, Alistar.
Yeah,
Even after move.
Dead again. Okay, there you go, Crampo. You've been having your troubles, I know. I actually had to play on North America from over here in Europe, and I could pull it off, okay? So I don't want to hear your excuses.
I saw that game. You were 0-3 at 10 minutes, dude.
True enough. All right, here, though. Afromu going to look to turn his 0-3 around. Looks like he will go for the Zeeks. It's going to be a long time coming, though, because he did upgrade his Sightstone first.
I mean, we're looking at the next Baron spawn to really be the match that lights the explosion. That's going to be the big fight here. Both AD carries approaching 4. Double Lift even has a QSS, so that's big. He can deny one of these crowd control effects. So if parallel convergence comes out, he no longer has to be scared to walk into it. He still has to be scared of the damage coming out of Echo, but at least that zoning tool is less efficient, less effective for the Flash Wolves. Let's see if they change their strategy in the fight around that.
And I think we expected maybe a closer game here, and that's what we've gotten here, but a longer game as well. 10 minutes more on average than the games currently at Worlds so far. But you can tell Flash Wolves still trying to push things down. Double had to recall. He's way out of position.
Again, Sword Out, able to protect the minion wave, blocks the wave clear. They even have the Banner of Command here, with CLG reinforcements come down, and they're able to clear it out. Big wave top as well that they were able to pressure.
Yeah, Banner not used for split push. Very inefficient if you just use it straight in the lane. Very easy to kill. Obviously, if you have Baron buff, then Baron becomes really good, but before that, you need to use it in the side lane.
Instead, now it's CLG that are going to try and tear down the mid lane. Both teams, again, have really looked for a big 5v5, but no openings really except for that Baron from the Flash Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, after that one really good pick there from Flash Wolves on the top side, they got a huge chunk, pretty much all this gold lead, but there's so much standing gold.
Oh my god, he's completely dead. Nice combo from CLG, and they'll keep running down. Sword Art getting crit. CLG find the opening they needed.
Yeah, we may call them the no flash rules. They're flash on cooldown on 4 of the members. 80 carry drop. This mid lane tower is under siege. Baron spawning in mid. This could be the game-winning opening for CLG.
Huge play there from Zion. I don't even know how Kramer got in that position, but CLG are going to take it, and they're going to run with it straight up the gut.
And it costs you so much when you make mistakes this late into a game. But CLG will finally crack an inhibitor as the mid lane one does fall down.
Ooh, that is an expensive mistake. Or CLG, they could straight up run for Baron too if they want to. They don't really seem to want to go for 50-50.
Oh, good play there. Gets the combo of Maple. Comes his way back in. He wants double. He pops Azonia's stack. He's deep into the back lines there, but he can't get the ulti. Big scoop there. Finds on the 4, but CLG, they are still fighting. Stake's going to get done by Zion Spartan, and he will live through it as well.
Flash Wolves held them to 1 kill after that reinitiation, though, and CLG have lost control of the map now because Zion has to go back and heal. He does have teleport, though, so actually they're going to set down ward coverage around Baron first. Zion going back to heal right now and teleport back in. He could go for a flank. There is no stake.
And he still has ultimate because he's above level 16 at that point, using that ultimate gets reset. What ward?
Dude,
there's wards on the map.
There's so many wards they can teleport in with Zion. He has home guards as well. They're trying to bait them in here. 25 seconds left on stake.
The CLG special Baron has been started though. Zion teleporting in. He's going to look for a flank, and CLG are going to unleash. Maple has been caught. He's going to 1v1 the Darius, and Zion more than happy to try and fight the Wolves. They are fleeing. Zion will flash in, and a buster shot's going to disengage. Now Pobelts are going to chase. They need 1 kill. Afro misses the pulverize. And CLG are still fighting. Ulti will get flashed away.
He spawned.
Now Kasa gets struck. Kramer. Oh, misses the last crit there. Now Kasa getting down as the shutdown will happen. Now Sword Art, he's going to get chased down. CLG, they need a little bit more. There's at least with the double. And they're just going off. The late game team fighting so strong.
What a comeback for CLG there. They're able to bait it, and that's going to turn into at least 2 inhibitors. 40 seconds left on 2 members. They can even pressure for more.
Yeah, they're 5 against 3 right here. Stake has to really make some fancy move. Kramer's busy wave clear. CLG looking at Nexus towers.
Yeah, they're going to try for it. Maple gets grabbed up. Combo lands it. Stake looks for it. Huge scoop back. Double gets stunned. Kramer gets the first kill onto Afro, and Zion has to run out. He's so tanky with the help, but Kramer gets cocooned. He'll get shut down, but Elise has gone down. It's just so crazy.
Double lift is still up, though. They can go straight for Nexus turrets. They have minions. Stake can't get back in time.
No, he can't now. They are going to try and knock it down. 1 turret falls. CLG getting in a crazy game. They're going to try and knock it down. They are behind in gold as they take out the Nexus, but CLG will win the game.
What a comeback right there for CLG. Able to leverage a single pick into pick after pick, controlling the vision, saving that teleport, and coming in for the home guard.
On the ward!
On the ward right there. Well, I saw it coming. Oh, but yeah, it was a huge comeback, and this was such a close game. This is honestly what we were expecting from this matchup between Flash Wolves and CLG. Neither team disappointed. Stake was able to have a really good comeback from that early stages of the game, and Flash Wolves honestly played really well up until the end stages.
Yeah, but in the last 3 minutes or so, Flash Wolves only had 20 seconds with all 5 members alive. CLG managed to find 1 pick, back off 1 more pick, kill somebody. Yeah, it wasn't clean. Some combos were missed, but it doesn't matter. Relentless aggression coming out of the CLG there, and eventually Flash Wolves, they re-engaged. They got a little overconfident once they got some damage down, and yeah, once that cocoon from McSmith, he connected on Kramer. Again, really big. They subbed out their AD carry, put in Kramer instead, and he got caught a couple of times over the game.
Yeah, we never got to see the replay. I'm not exactly sure. Smithy probably just came up with a
he cocooned him.
max range.
Yeah. Kramer walked into it. Flash Wolves got overconfident once they traded some damage efficiently. CLG committed to killing Maple, but obviously he is AP Echo. Once he ultis that, he came back in full HP, and suddenly Flash Wolves felt like they could win the fight. But then their AD carry walked into a well-placed cocoon by Smithy, and that was really the game turner.
What was honestly impressive was the decisive way with which CLG took that small advantage and were able to turn it into so much more for the team. They had to take that opening.
Yeah, this game felt incredibly, action-packed, but the end score was only 10 kills on each side. So it doesn't feel to me that this game was only 10 kills, because there were so many re-engages, peeling, combos, saving each other, sword art. Fantastic bomb performance, showing why this is probably the best support pick you can get here. Alistar close second, but obviously much harder to pull off and just less, tools in your kit.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many good things for Flash Wolves that they showed. They had flanks from Karsa, from Maple. Stake was able to get some decent engages as well for the team.
I think in general, both teams just showed so much here. It's no surprise that at the World Championships, we did have a couple of maybe one-sided games here and there, but the longest game we've had, almost 42 minutes, and we saw so much from both these teams.
Yeah, and going back to the pregame, we talked about how Pobelter was under pressure from not only Maple, but also Karsa. He ended the game 3-0-7. That he's involved in every single kill that CLG produced, while giving up no deaths at all. He farmed well, he did his job protecting Doublelift, even sniped a couple of kills here and there, so he didn't crumble, and he was the rock CLG needed to lean on, so he did fantastic well.
If Pobelter didn't get those kills, nobody was going to get them.
Yeah, he snapped them, claimed them.
Doublelift unfortunately cannot get all the kills, but a nail-biting game for both teams. We expected it to be close here, as those are some signs out in the audience. Doublelift's everywhere, apparently. Back at the analyst desk, out in the crowd. Paris, you've been a whole lot of fun, just like that game was. And again, we expected it to be close. CLG win a very important game in dramatic fashion.
Yeah, and then up next, we've got the rest of this group playing out. Ku and Pain going to go to head-to-head really shortly here. That one's going to be exciting. They, as you said, both teams were going to be watching this previous game that we just cast.
So I don't know if Ku is going to be happy with this, because both teams played relatively close in each other's level, and Ku actually has the tools to beat these type of games that get slow starts, long drawn out, because they're a fantastic mid-game team. At the same time, there were some really good fights from both these teams here, so definitely will be interesting to see how that plays out, and also, what Monte Cristo has out of an opinion of Ku here. Obviously, coming in Supreme, the Korean overlords, ready to destroy a former team here on CLG, so a lot of good narratives.
It was this game definitely was a very mixed bag with positive and negatives on both sides.
I mean, you can see the interview being prepped there as well. So not too much longer, as I believe it will be joined by Afromu from CLG in just a sec. But I feel like both teams had to use almost every weapon they had to kind of get to that point in the game, and CLG showing that it's not just good early game and good laning, but excellent late game team fighting. The trust that they've built, the synergy they've built really shows.
I think you can learn a lot from this early game overall, because the way CLG, they faked the lane swap kind of. They said, hey, we're going into this lane swap, dividing the map in half. Then they really late invaded to the Krugs, and then the entire Stake narrative happened out, but I think Shox is ready, so.
She certainly is. Let's throw it down to Shox in interview land for a word with CLG's Rush Hour bottom lane.
Thank you, guys. I'm here with the Rush Hour bottom lane, Afromu and Doublelift after winning over the Flash Wolves. Now, when you guys walked on the stage, I said, whew, that was close. And you guys immediately went, no, it wasn't. So care to elaborate? Because it looked close to me, Doublelift.
Yeah, go ahead, Peter. I was joking.
Okay.
That was a really close game. I think we ended it, and the score was still 10-10.
Yeah.
So we were losing for most of the game.
So especially in that early game, which you guys are usually quite good at, so what do you think you guys could have done better to react to the Flash Wolves in the early game?
I think it was a little bit of miscommunication on where Rek'Sai was, and then we had an unfortunate mishap there. So our game plan started to falter because of that. So it happens, but we've shown that we can come back with the deficit.
Yeah, you can, so that's also a good lesson to learn here in the first game. Tell me, though, what happens then in your mind, because you have a favorable draw, as everyone says, for your group. You have the faith. You are coming out of NA as the first seed, and then you end up in a game like this. Does your mind start to wonder, Doublelift?
Actually, I was really confident the whole game because we were just completely destroying them bot lane. I think at some point I was like 100 CS up, so I knew that even though we were behind as a team, we have a really good team comp. Like Lulu Jinx is just extremely strong mid-late game, and we pulled it through.
Do you feel maybe his cardboard cutout would have done better, or was it fine as it was?
Oh, no, no, no. I love the real thing.
Well, fantastic start here for you guys. As you've seen some of the games here and the meta and the way you've played in this game, we know that you guys are super confident. We've heard that in the interviews coming into this tournament. Can you elaborate a little bit where that comes from? And Doublelift, we know you're always confident, but it's a different thing to say we have what it takes to win the whole thing.
Yeah, you go first, Ben.
Oh, well, it's for you, man.
All right. Well, I don't know. I'm always confident because if you go in with like a loser's mentality, like, oh, we might not win, then I've had that happen to me before in my career, and it's really not good. Like for your team mentality, and also just like how much effort you're putting in to the game. I want to make sure that we're all like 100% focused in the game. So I don't know. I just feel like this is the best roster I've ever played with, and it just goes to show Zion can have a bad game, and in the end, we can just pick it up.
Finally, Aframo, anything to add to that?
No.
No? No. In unison. That's how it's supposed to be. Well, congratulations. Thank you guys very much, Doublelift and Aframo. And as for us, we're going to break down the game a bit further over at the desk.
Thank you, Shax. You know, I, for one, would like to get the Thorn head and the Doublelift cutout out here and let them discuss how the game went. All of that aside, let's just start from the beginning, as this was actually, of course, we have one of our longer games right after we talk about how quick the tournament has been going, but I think a lot of that can be lent to, you know, starting with Champion Select, let's look at the teams that they drafted and how they played out.
Well, of course, if you see Elise and Lulu in the same team, you start to question, like, the pick and ban. Like, sure, if you think that you're going to play Azir into it, it might be fine, but they pick the Echo into it. You pick an Assassin into Lulu, then you're just bound to lose, and I think that was what carried CLG in this game, because they played not so good.
Yeah, they really didn't play that well, and if we talk about, they got the Darius, too, in the last round of the draft on the blue side, so they ended up with this just insanely strong team composition for this patch, and Flash Wolves, they don't really have a form of primary engage on this team. They have to flash Gnar ult. They have to do something, because as long as CLG just groups at a turret, Lulu whimsies the Jinx, you can get the autos off on the turret, and the siege is virtually unstoppable if you have deep wards. And I think we'll get around to talking about that a little bit more in a minute.
So we saw all these incredibly high-priority picks fall onto the side of CLG, and yet Crumbs, for a period of time, it seemed relatively even.
I'm heartbroken, shattered even. I didn't know you could find games like these when you go dumpster diving. Like, I felt really bad watching this, because for a team that's claiming that they can be the best team in the world, this is far from it. You are not allowed to have games like these if you're actually wanting to get first place. Like, they only won solely because of the draft. Just because Flash Wolves did not have an engage and had a couple of misplays with picks here and there was the only reason that...
Specific negatives that jumped out at you.
From Flash Wolves, the composition not being able to draft properly, getting picked off in random locations for CLG, not utilizing the strength of the team composition. For example, the sieging, they put a lot of pressure into taking mid lane turret, but then eventually they just like, no, we're not going to do that anymore, even though it was
I'll let you
working.
take over there.
I'm about to unleash on this one. We can talk about the dragon control, too, from CLG. Now, we know that Flash Wolves is a much more dragon-focused team, but a lot of this was prompted by Xmithy's very awkward recall timings. He sits on a huge amount of gold, and it leaves so they can't fight because he has no items, and then he recalls, and they just took the first dragon. So there were a lot of opportunities that Flash Wolves made use of, because Xmithy doesn't really know when he needs to go back and buy, and he sits on just this mountain of money that's doing nothing. Now, if we talk about CLG's early advantages, even though they were having a hard time in that top lane, they just need to group and siege. But to group and siege...
Some were putting CLG ahead of Coup, but, you know, I'm sensing from the desk here that this is not necessarily a team that we're looking can beat out Coup later in the group stages.
Like after this game, I'm sure Coup Tigers did a little dance. You know, they were happy after this game. But it's like, if I think about the future of the group, these draft mistakes are simple to fix for UA Flash Wolves. But these like mid-game mistakes that you were talking about, it's so hard to fix within like a week. So I'm worried for CLG.
It is a draft mistake, but you can play around it. Like they have many of opportunities. For example, the delayed siege from CLG that eventually got countered by some wonky TP that was like in front of CLG, where they simply walked away without home guards even. So if they actually correct the mistake of using the teleport, but that's what we were talking about Stake, you know, not being an underwhelming top laner. But I think that we can learn that he is receiving a lot more flack than he should.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
He played a lot better than we were expecting. Dodged those 3 ganks very well and held his own in the top lane.
Final words?
Yeah, I have to agree with Yamato. If I'm Coup, and I know my strengths as the Coup Tigers, which are, as the casters alluded to, playing a very clean, objective-based mid-game. They know how to run their compositions so well. Their problem is in the laning phase. But we see CLG start to bully the lane, start to accrue CS leads, and then just bumble around the map, which is exactly what we saw in their win against TSM too. So I think this is very concerning for CLG. They haven't fixed it, at least from what we saw today. And they had 3 weeks off. And Coup, this is their strength. Their strength is going to be playing the mid-game well. And I don't really see how CLG is going to outplay them in that phase.
Well, we get an opportunity to see their group mates play in our next game of the day. We do have to take a break real quick, but when we come back, Brazil's Pain Gaming will face off against Korea's Ku Tigers. Don't touch that browser.
If I got you, baby. Damn, our harmony sucks, guys.
That's our team synergy right now, guys.
Keep the turret upright, though. But
Oh my God, the crit Timberlip gets the first kill, but he does get taken out here.
No, look up.
I got him. I'm gonna chase. I'm slowed. I'm slowed. Myself. Careful.
All right.
Hey, we're pushing. I'm pushing. I got Echo.
Okay. Nice.
Oh, good play there. Gets the combo from Maple. Comes his way back in. He wants double. He pops the Zonia's stack. He's deep into the back lines there, but he can't get the ulti. Has to run out. He's so tanky with the help. But Kramer gets Cocoon. He'll get shut down, but Elise has gone down. CLG will win the game.